I'm James Fritz, and I never listen to None Taken.
I mean, you never want to sniff your own windscreen. Well, you definitely don't want to sniff anyone else's, but like, yeah, that made it worse.
Yeah,
Listeners,
don't do that. Oh, and we're live. By the way.
Yes, yeah, we're live, barely. Oh boy, it smells like something died.
You can open a window.
Yeah, no, it's humid out there, Alan. You don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, Natasha had the house at 78 all day. It's gonna take all day to get the heat out of this. All the wood inside the building is at 70. Like it
She's
takes
worried
forever
about
to get the heat out of the.
She's worried about your AC bill, you know?
Well, you're gonna spend a lot more money pulling that heat out of it rather than just preventing
Maintaining.
it. Yes.
You would know this. You would know this.
Yes.
It's kind of your thing.
God, duh. That's not how I want to start the show. I have a question for you that I almost asked. So last week, remember when I asked you that question about what day is it on the moon?
Mm-hmm.
I think we decided it's Houston.
Yes, I think we did. Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's either that or Orlando, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
China might have something.
Florida.
Else.
Yeah.
But it's either Orlando or Houston.
I guess there's one down in LA too, where SpaceX takes off a lot.
SpaceX. Don't they take off from Cape Canaveral though?
They do that as well, but because I know somewhere near LA they take off.
El Segundo. They don't take off from El Segundo though.
No, because I heard a guy in a podcast.
They definitely don't launch next to the airport. El Segundo is right at the.
Okay, maybe it's not there, but wherever it is, I heard a guy in a podcast say he could see it from his house sometimes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Somewhere down there.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I suppose I don't know everything about everything. That's fine. So I had so my question was roughly about like time zones and days of the week and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to come across incredibly stupid, just sort of like naive, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And like I get it. I get it. I do get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a difference between getting it and being able to explain the international date line. Can you explain the international date line? I found, because I tried to explain it once and I was like, oh, I thought these words would be easier. So can you explain the international date line? And let's see if it's as much of a train wreck as when I tried to.
I don't think that I don't think this has any reflection on your intelligence at all, because I'm sure if you gave me time and like I could Google it and then kind of get the words in my head, I could probably spit something out that made sense. But for me, just to describe it off the cuff, I mean, it's like.
But it's a different day. Like, so say when it goes past midnight on the East Coast, it's a different day in the East Coast than it is on the West Coast. So why is there a date line also?
I think it might be based on Greenwich Mean Time, maybe. It's like
it is, because it's the opposite, right? So like the British and all their arrogance were like, well, we don't want to have it be one day on one side of England and a different day on the other, but we definitely want all of time to go through. So we'll make it noon here, and we'll put the date line in the middle of the Pacific where nobody matters to us, right?
Yeah, it's entirely so. Yeah, it's based on GMT, right? That's what it is.
Sure.
But I can't describe it any better than that. Honestly,
you're like not even waiting into it because you know it's going to be bad.
Yeah. If you gave me, a couple hours to prepare a PowerPoint, I'm sure I could figure it out. But no, off the top of my head, I can't.
Come on, try.
All right. So if GMT is 000 at that point or that place geographically, then there is an opposite point on the other side of the world where it's already the next day.
Yeah, but that's true at any antipodal locations. Ooh,
right. But so I
had to use that word so I didn't sound completely R-worded.
So as they move, then that line. Well, no,
the date line stays the same.
Oh God. Yeah. See,
Hulk Hogan said that when he wrestled in Japan, he was able to wrestle like 400 times a year because of the international date line, and that's never made sense to me.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of things Hulk Hogan has said don't make sense.
It's like that makes sense if you have like an SR-71. It doesn't really make sense with like normal air travel, but yeah.
No, they have extra 80 days in Japan because of that. That's how that works.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have a 10-inch penis. That's my character. It's just
I get it. Most people probably know we're referring to our Friday show intro. So I got this for you. This is that lady that we were talking about, the hidden track. We were having a lot of fun with a new account we found. Oh, listeners, you should go find her. It's Darley B019, DARLEYB019.
Yeah.
I feel like she's gonna blow up. We haven't like caught her. We
Like,
caught her like she's. Can you describe her, Alan? I feel mean.
Oh, she is a
Would you say intellectually disabled?
there might be a few
Chromosomes missing.
chromosomes missing. But I mean, she seems to have like a bit of a southern accent, although not entirely
The
clear.
R word is rolling around in my head.
Just me or no?
I don't know if it's that. It might be uneducated and
Access to technology, and you
Yeah,
mix that together with probably like a little bit of mental illness. I think there's definitely some mental
Yeah.
illness. This is schizo posting on Max, right?
sure.
Like if you scroll through her page, it's just this.
Yeah.
So well, we had some fun with this in the hidden track. This is my favorite of her newer posts. I haven't gotten that deep into
What kind of likes is she getting right now?
not that many, right? For
Okay.
something that has made its way to my eyes, I would
Right.
assume that it's kind of blown up already. 472 2 days ago,
Okay.
like that's a lot, but it's not like this.
No,
got
she's gonna.
caught-
I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple weeks.
This
from
is
now
going to be
she's
found by
gonna-
like a major podcast.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
gonna, like this is right up your mom's house
for
alley.
sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
So DARLEYB019. Go ahead and tell her some of our favorite catchphrases in the comments. I don't know. Guess what? Come.
Be
She's got
nice, but
spunk.
You know what she has?
She's got spunk.
She's got spunk.
she's got spunk.
Yeah.
Tell her she's got spunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell her she's a spunky lady. Okay, we'll play this and we'll
We
start.
like your spunk.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't talking over that.
Everything you watch on TV is almost true, but in the reality, it is true. And when you practice magic, that's the devil.
Y'all let me in this damn house.
Is that the same lady that tried to break into my house?
1, 2, 3.
All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. You want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken. Welcome to episode number 387 of None Taken, the internet's only debate and current events show, with your hosts Dustin and Al, two political nomads from two different worlds. Shout out to Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band for the use of their song Ways and Means for intro music. The time of this recording, it is Tuesday, July 29th, 2024. It's definitely Monday. Only the Patreon knows that because this one comes out a day early. Everybody else, you'll see this on Wednesday. What do I normally say here? We are two coastal elites coming to you from the shores of the mighty Cumberland in Madison, Tennessee, all the way to the Pacific waters of El Cerrito, California. Here to recap another week of current events and sharing way too much of our tragic personal lives. Hey, do us a favor. Head on over to your favorite podcasting apps where they take reviews and leave us a quick little review. We're at like 57, something like that. It's not bad, but we could use more. If you like what we're doing, we like to think that we're your favorite source for independent, definitely biased news coverage. Spin that you can appreciate, right? It's not we don't treat you like you're an idiot and just like fabricate stories for you to go lie about it with your friends, like some podcasts do. Give us a good review, 5 stars, por favor. If you're thinking 4 stars, you can pass. We don't need that, okay? We already have 1 star because we used the R word once. Okay, more than once, but yeah, okay.
Well, there's that one from your ex-girlfriend too.
There was yep, but there was two. So there's two 1-star reviews. One
Yeah.
because of the R word, one from an R word. Hey, you know what I mean, Alan?
Hey now.
That was the closest button. Really didn't mean that much. Oh, here we go.
You need to relax.
Mm.
And head on over to nonetakenpod.com. You can join the Patreon there. $3, $9, $18 a month, whichever suits your fancy. If you join the $18 a month club, you will get a Culture War veteran t-shirt if you DM me, because there's no like automatic to that. So let me know. You know what? I will notice, but I'm going to need your address. So DM that to me. I'll send you that shirt. We appreciate you. But join at whatever level's comfortable for you, and you get full access to all the videos we do. We just did like a 40-minute intro before this in our hidden track. We did an interview last week that's going to come out in a couple more weeks. You would have seen that already. We're going to do an interview on Thursday with the reporter of the podcast Murder on Music Row about a murder on Music Row in Nashville. It's going to be fascinating. I have this, it's an 8-part podcast. They've only released the 6th one. The 7th one comes out this week. The 8th one comes out the week we release that. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Alan, you need to listen to that if you haven't started listening to it. I don't want you binging it right before we do the episodes. You need to be well versed.
Already on it.
With questions in the sheet. Okay, but this is not scold your co-host for no reason corner. This is join the Patreon corner. God's sakes, it's $3. I mean, you know,
It's a really good value, you guys. It's a really good value. Also, we just added a new feature. So all that stuff he was talking about, that bonus content, you can get your own private RSS feed. So you can have that right on your phone when you wake up. It'll be there the next day. So just go to
one thing we didn't want to do Patreon for a long time, because we were like, well, I don't want people to have to go to another platform to get the show. Like I don't use secondary platforms.
Right. So you can go there to your membership tab under None Taken. There's a link for your regular RSS. And if you're a Spotify user, there's a special link for that as well. So we'll just show up in your Spotify playlist. So check that out. Also on untakenpod.com, we got our merch store over there. You can pick up some t-shirts, some hoodies, some mugs, some cool logos, some fun stuff over there. Also, don't forget to support the people that support us.
Who?
Slickitsdigital.com. For all your SEO and marketing needs, slickitsdigital.com.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. What's up, everybody?
What is
I didn't get up to a lot this weekend.
I see that. There's a big blank spot.
Yeah. There's just a gap. I watched some Olympics.
Oh, yeah? Speaking of nice gaps, Alan, you been watching that women's volleyball? I turned it on. It was men playing beach volleyball. I was, what the fuck is this? Who watches this?
No one wants to watch that.
You want to watch guys' butts? You watch rugby, right, Alan? What?
Right. I watched the U.S. basketball team destroy Albania, I think it was.
Serbia.
Yeah.
Serbia.
That was
That's
close.
I like traditionally, I feel like that's where we get all our good white basketball players. Like
Yeah. But it was like 130 to 90 or something. It was a blowout.
Was it that
Yeah.
much?
It was pretty.
That might have been the Albania game. The Serbia game was closer, but it was still
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was Albania. I watched. Anyways, how about you, man?
Those
What'd you
girls
get up?
do gymnastics. I watched the French girls suck. The French girls just fucking blew it, man. And it was like there's 4 of them on a team, and every time they go to a new rotation, they're like the first person does a bad job, and they're like they can drop this score, it's okay. The other scores will make up for it.
Right.
They said that at each rotation. Then the other 3 did bad. Like it was just like, man, the host nation. This isn't like China where they're like, we're gonna fucking win.
Right. I mean, normally I'm not going to say it. How about you, man? What'd you get up to in your personal life?
I'm kind of curious about what you're not going to say.
I normally don't mind watching French girls suck, but
you know what? I'm glad we went back to that. I was worried. I was like, this better not be inappropriate, Alan. Yeah.
Well, that was totally appropriate.
Yeah. They're mostly adults, Alan.
Jesus. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I did. It's okay. Here's what I did. We went to, speaking of watching girls work out, we had a dilemma. Needed to go to yoga on Saturday, but also had thunderstorms all day Sunday and a good enough iffy weather day on Saturday. And like last weekend, I kept complaining because we skipped going to the lake and then it never rained. And we're like, we should have just gone to the fucking lake. So
never skip lake day.
Don't skip lake day. Exactly.
Yes.
That'd be a good shirt. Never skip lake day. So yoga's at like 10. We get out by like 11:15. I like to be at the lake no later than 12. So like to me, it's like we've already missed our window, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Went straight home. Natasha made some Vegemite sandwiches. I throwed everything in the car. I got the dogs get excited because they see their life vests come out. Put them in the car. We ended up getting to the lake by 1. Not bad. An hour later than usual. Nobody was there because everybody was afraid of the fact that they kept saying there's potential rain. But like, if you looked at it, all of the rain was sort of like the outskirts of the potential rainstorm was right at the lake, and then it went north. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go. And we have a tent. We can jump inside the tent if we need to. It's not going to do much, but you know, it's better than nothing. And we dodged it all. We had great weather.
Awesome.
It got a little overcast at one point, and we weren't like getting that much of a tan, but we were still at the lake. Like, it was fucking great. And we got really lucky. Like, you could watch, and the rainstorms were going across the lake and past us. Like, they were coming, and then they were, guess what? Boom. And yeah, we dodged it. We had a great day at the lake. And it's like, if we didn't go to the lake, we'd be going to a bar and paying for beers, right? It's like free beers outside taste better.
They do. It's true, especially at the lake.
I did have one incident.
Oh.
So I was out on the paddleboard with Mithra, and he always brings his ball with him. And I didn't bring the flinger when I was out there because I can just throw it, and he'll jump off the board and crawl back on. And I'm kind of teaching him how to do that without digging into the board too much. I put my leg down and he crawls over my leg. But like, I didn't want him to keep jumping off the board. So I was just, at one point, I was just sort of like flicking the ball towards him, you know? So it's like 3 feet away and he just catches it. And that's fun for him too, because he's got, you know, quick reflexes. But he's a fucking retriever and he's a spaz. So like, half the time he goes to catch it, he'll like catch the end of it and like miss it and then take a double chomp to actually catch it, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, we're just sitting on the board and I'm like straddling the board. He's sitting there facing me. We're doing that for like 10, 15 minutes. And then one of the times he did his quick little double chomp and he missed the ball both times, but he didn't miss everything.
Oh.
He went chomp, just right down on the crotch.
Oh god.
Yeah, it was gentler than you'd think. Like, there's no lasting damage. Not even any marks. I could show you if you want to see. Like,
I'd rather not.
There's no spots, no
That's good.
noticeable swelling. You know,
Right.
well, there was a little bit of swelling, and I had to think long and hard about why that happened.
No piercing of the skin.
No, nothing. Everything was fine.
Okay, good.
That's it. That's my personal life. You want to get into our comedy clip?
Let's do it. Let's
move
do
on
it.
from that. That was kind of weird. I don't have any from Thrash. I know Thrash sent a bunch of stuff in. Sorry, buddy. I didn't put anything into the sheet. I have 4 from Nameless, though. Like, Nameless had a fucking week, and all of them were show worthy. So let's start off with this one. This one's about my only note here is it's about Kamala Harris.
I know this from being in the film industry. When you're black, you got to figure out ways to make yourself palpable to white America to be successful. So they don't
Did you hear at the beginning he said I learned this being in the film industry?
Yeah.
Okay.
have to do something so white to make sure she win this shit. I was like, who do you pair Kamala Harris with to make sure she wins? Who's that white that'll unite the country? And I started thinking about it. She gonna have to pick Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk is gonna have to save his country, nigga.
He was up there drinking a strawberry White Claw. You see that?
Tony Hawk is gonna have to do kickflips at the PNC. It's the only way we're gonna get out this shit.
Won't be any worse than Joe with fucking brain injuries, you know.
You know what? I'd be down for that ticket. Tony Hawk. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'd love to hear what he thinks about foreign policy. Can you imagine Tony Hawk being one heartbeat away from the presidency? That'd be kind of dope, actually. I'd be
okay with it. Yeah.
Sure. One vegetable to another. Okay. So when I first saw this bit, it reminded me of a Seinfeld bit.
Okay.
You know the Seinfeld bit from, he had that tour called I'm Telling You for the Last Time, and it was supposed to be his last tour. Mm-hmm. And in it, my favorite joke in that whole bit is about chopsticks. He's like, I don't understand how Chinese people use chopsticks. They have a shovel out. You don't see them out in the field plowing, you know, the field with a couple of pool cues. That's kind of the joke, right? Yeah. He makes it better. And look, he does it at the fucking Comedy Cellar.
I like that.
He does it on the home turf of Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't unmute it. All of that. That was so perfect.
But I found out this the other day. I found out that Chinese people fought in the American Civil War. Did you know this? Dude, I Googled this. There was like 40 Chinese people who fought for the Union. What a mind fuck. to be a Confederate soldier in the Civil War, see a Chinese guy running at you? It's fucking 1800s America. You don't even know what you're looking at. You're like, Lincoln's got aliens fighting for him? Sent back up from Mars, dude? Let's talk about the real issues, man. I'm tired of people talking shit about chopsticks. Yeah, I said it. Fucking tired of it, dude. Everyone's always like, chopsticks, so hard to eat with. Why do you eat chopsticks? You ever think like the fork and the spoon make eating too easy? This country has an obesity problem. Maybe more people use chopsticks, fucking heart disease go down a little bit. Dude, a spoon is a miniature shovel. You don't need that much food with every bunch of shoveling mashed potatoes down your throat. You're gonna die. You're gonna fucking die. I'm not fat shaming, okay? I told this joke once. There's a pediatrician in the crowd. She gave me a standing ovation. Yeah, I asked her. I was like, why is that? She's like, because these kids are fat as fuck. I'm like, oh, her words, not mine. Okay, but
We've made our eating utensils too efficient. Is the point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like
It's
it.
good when you're a peasant and like you need to scarf down calories. This
Right.
You know. Yeah. I got another Kamala one. This is also from Nameless. This is the premise of this is that Kamala is the most hated vice president of all time. I disagree with that premise, but I can't think of one more hated. But we'll go with that, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I also one he's gonna mention. Don't ruin the bit, Alan.
She's the most hated vice president of all time. Yeah, Aaron Burr killed a guy. And still people, you know that Aaron Burr, he killed Hamilton, the Puerto Rican rapper. And still people hate fucking her more. It's crazy. Weird.
This guy in the comments nailed it. Dick Cheney shot a guy in the face. And
Dick
had a
Cheney
high-
for
had a
sure.
higher approval rating. No way.
I would think he's more hated.
Oh,
But-
totally. We hated
yeah.
him all 8 years. We were like,
Yeah.
fuck. I mean, nobody ever shot George Bush because they didn't want Dick Cheney in charge, you know? Hey, speaking of assassins, do you ever notice how assassins always have all three names, like their middle
Yeah.
name and everything? Do you ever know why?
No.
Well, you're about to find out.
Thomas Matthew Crooks, that was the name of the would-be killer. He has used all three of his names. You do that. You do that with every assassin, like Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth. And I don't know if you guys know why, but it's because they're in big trouble, you know?
Like when you're a kid.
That took me a second.
You can't do that. Your mom will be mad at you. She'll be like, Thomas Matthew Crooks, get your ass off that roof right now! Wait until your father hears about this. We are having fun. Thomas.
Hey, there's George Bush.
That was very well done.
Yeah. I got one James sent in. This is it's Adam and Steve. This is Rory Scovel. This is a fun little bit from Rory Scovel.
A lot of people say it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I say to myself, a lot of people say it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I say to myself, I kind of wish it was Steve, because I bet he wouldn't have been so dumb to talk to a snake. I mean, hell, Eve, did you even do a little bit of research? Do the other animals talk? They don't. Then something's up, girlfriend. Something's up. Steve wouldn't have fell for that. Steve would have been like, what the hell is that? Is that a talking snake? You get! You get! You get out of here! You get on out of here! You get! You get out of here! Get out of my yard! Steve would have already called the Garden of Eden his yard. Right out of the gate. A lot of
Yeah, sometimes misogyny is funny.
Yeah, oftentimes misogyny is funny. Alan. Come on. You got like 3 ladies that listen, and they all get it. It's fine. One of them's my sister, if she still listens after me motherfucking her a couple episodes ago.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I think she still does though. She says, "I listen." Well, wait, I'm not giving away her spot. Hi, Amber. Love you.
Hi.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'll be in San Diego in a couple of weeks.
Hell yeah.
And then here's one that I found that I wanted to play another Fritz bit. So this is a friend of the show, James Fritz.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, James Fritz. Here we go.
Having a rough week. I don't like lying to audiences. I'm having a referee. It was my mother's birthday this week, and she died a couple years ago. And it's always, that's always a hard time. And it's just, like, that's what I hate about these dead moms, man. Like, I keep getting older.
No.
And they stay the same age.
Oh.
Right?
I gotta talk about a fucking dog dying.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Are you okay?
Yeah, that's very funny.
So how should we go into this next segment? Should I update this guy
Oh, about that.
to the new one that we have?
How about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, we'll move it on to Kamala. We'll do our
how
which will be our how about that going forward,
Yeah.
at least for this episode.
For a while, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move into that segment then. How about that? And as has been tradition lately, let's do a Cody Tucker bit. So
Fun.
this is I did learn this one already, so I like this one. I watched it, is what I meant to say. This is what I call watching Cody Tucker bits. I learned from a Cody Tucker bit.
1960, director Federico Fellini released the movie La Dolce Vita, which is one of the most iconic Italian films of all time, but is also remembered today for a very different reason. The movie is about a journalist being played by a fellow named Marcello Mastroianni, who is looking for interesting and salacious stories around Rome. And he is not doing this alone. He is accompanied by a photographer, played by a fellow named Walter Santesso. That character's name, which is also the Italian slang for mosquito, is paparazzo, which is why we call the people who go around trying to take salacious pictures of celebrities the paparazzi.
How about that?
How about that?
I did not know that. That's very interesting.
Did not know that either.
Yeah.
This kind of goes into a game that I believe, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that do you remember when we used to do the Pokemon or Pills game?
Yeah.
I think that came from Punk Rock Bob Foster. He shared that. He was like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was a fun game.
It was a fun game.
Yeah.
So this is, we just need a couple more years of new drugs to come out so that we can get some more Pokemons to compare them to, or drugs to compare to the Pokemons. You know what I meant. So this is a good bit about Pokemon.
Yo, Pokemon is really sneaky with their names. So for example, this looks like a cobra, right? Its actual name is Arbok. But if you read it backwards, it says Cobra. But same for this one. It's an Ekans. But if you read it backwards, it says Snake.
It's a big puddle, and then what's it say up there?
Muck.
What's Alan? Give me a second. What's muck backwards?
Oh, what's yes.
Guess what?
I knew the Ekans. I knew the Ekans and Arbok, but I hadn't thought of the muck one yet.
Yeah. But by all means, get mad about the Olympics opening ceremonies being rude to your religion or whatever, like not your kids playing with cum monsters. No, that's
How about that?
That's going to end up in a fucking montage. By the way, he sent in another montage. James made another montage. James fucking did it again. Where is that? Is that in here? I got Pokemon names. Oh, it's the next. It's one more clip. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I fell for the same thing again. Remember last time where I didn't listen to it before I played it on the show? And I did it again. So we'll see. This bit is about boys with the time. The whole boys with the time machine versus girls with the time machine.
Right.
This is kind of like that acted out.
Okay, can send you back in time to stop any American tragedy. What, like 9/11? Yeah, 9/11, slavery,
Okay, let's do
abolishment. You want to go back in time to stop slavery being abolished? No. Let's just do 9/11.
Jesus.
Okay, do you want to be sent to the day of or the day before, where the actual decision to carry out the attack took place? Let's go with the day of the decision. Okay, I'm now sending you to the room where the decision to do 9/11 happened.
It really is a small price to pay to not have to walk your wife all the way to the gate at the airport.
Atlanta didn't never burn.
Well, okay, here.
Atlanta didn't never burn.
Thank you.
Atlanta was a false flag operation, and Abraham Lincoln was a crisis actor.
How about that?
That's great.
It really is a small price to pay. Do you remember that? I used to remember walking with my mom to the gate to drop off and pick up my dad, like at the airport, like all the way there.
It was a
And
thing.
then during the Gulf War, the first one in the 90s, 91, 90, I remember all of a sudden we couldn't go past like a certain glassed off area. There was still no security before that. You just couldn't go past there.
You couldn't go past,
Yeah. And they were, and I remember asking my mom why, and they were like, well, we're at war with someone, so we're worried that a terrorist might I don't know. Like, what would that have even have done? Like,
dude, I remember people talking about going to the airport to people watch, like,
yeah,
to sit in the terminal and watch.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
I'm sorry. I feel like I should be able to do that still.
Yeah, we may have overcorrected a bit, but
A bit.
A bit.
You think? I mean, I for one love taking my shoes off for no fucking reason.
I don't think I had to the last time I flew.
Yes, you did. You still have to take
Really?
your shoes off. Yes, they will not stop doing that. You don't have to take your laptop out of your bag anymore. if you have
Right.
fancy Scanners. By the way, the name of the brand that those scanners are, where you don't have to take your laptop out, is Analogic, but it's spelled anal logic, and it's like a fucking like tube that it goes into with like a tapered off hole on one side. It's like, come on. Like nobody, like no one anywhere, like. From the product design phase to like just like a pitch meeting, there isn't anyone in any room that could say, let's not call it anal logic. All right.
funny.
I hesitate to play this. If I knew what was good for me.
You wouldn't, but here we are.
Here we are. Do you think James is going to isolate Coonhound? You can squeeze it a little. It's not going to get upset, right? I don't really think gays should get married. I think it's fun to think Boeing kills whistleblowers. Nipple babies. Can I give you a quick jack, Alan?
I like a quick jack.
I prefer more drawn out. And beat up the black guys, go out and kill people. Invest in private prisons. Shoot my wad wetback. You and a kid's dick in your mouth. I've had a slave fit it in right here, Alan. Just fuck these illegals. Just shit all over me. Those queers control the media.
Dustin and Alan, fucking love you guys.
That's fantastic.
Legals. Shoot my wad wetback. You and a kid's dick in your mouth. Okay, he's not better. I don't know why I thought I'd go back to another part. I did. It wasn't the part that I thought I was.
You got. Wow.
So much fun.
That's good times.
That tickles. You know what sucks? Like someday when we're like huge and famous, they'll be like, look, they were laughing at them saying incredibly inappropriate statements. Look, he went back and played it again and he laughed about it.
Yeah.
Psychopath shit. And then he talked about that. This is getting real meta. I got to get out of this meta spiral. Okay. Don't look. I want you to name this sound.
Okay.
I haven't done this in a couple weeks. This is a fucking awesome sound. Expect to hear this. Listeners, expect to hear this sound conservatively 4 times. Okay. I'll give you as many times until you think you can guess it, and then I'll tell you, and then I'll play it a couple times with you watching because I know you want to see this.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
It's kind of weird, right? All right, what do you got?
It sounds like a movie, like boom, like something's about to happen. But that maybe like a big, like metal container of some sort, like falling or like being hit or something.
Yeah. Are you looking? I see you looking.
No, I'm not looking. I'm looking.
Okay, but what about the fart sound?
The fart? Oh, at the end?
Yeah, here, you're ready. Did you miss the fart sound the first time?
I did miss the fart sound the first
time.
Okay, can I see now?
Yeah. Ready?
Oh, it's a water tower.
It's a water tower falling, and it must have like a bung hole at the bottom.
It ejects like whatever.
It ejaculated all the rusty water out of the bottom of it. Yes.
That's awesome. I like the sound.
Only one more time.
That's fun.
That is a lot of fun. Let's do a it's not a whole montage, but NASCOM made a pretty good mashup they did of well, not even a mashup. They had an ISO from look, if I say Jeff Gordon is, how do you finish that sentence?
Jeff Gordon is.
I say Jeff Gordon is, you say
the greatest NASCAR driver.
Fuck off. Jesus Christ. Dale, he didn't mean it.
I didn't mean it, Dale.
Dale, oh my God.
I take it back. I take it back, Dale.
And like, even if you're arguing about that era, Jimmy Johnson is a better driver than him, but I don't even like him. Alan.
Yeah.
Okay, you ask me. Say Jeff Gordon is.
Jeff Gordon is
gay. Everybody knows
Oh.
Jeff Gordon's gay.
Oh.
Come on. With the rainbow tide and all that. Like,
I was not aware.
You were not. You know what? Just say you didn't pay attention to NASCAR in the 90s is totally fine.
Okay, totally.
Nobody
I
cares
did.
if you didn't. That's fine. Yeah. Here's Jeff Gordon.
Not being gay.
Not presenting.
No, it's not presenting.
Okay.
I got to just taste enough of it being partners with Rick, and he gives me a hard time. He does. He busts on my ass all the time.
He does.
But that's his love, and so I love it because he does it. And I got to just taste enough of it being partners with Rick, and he gives me a hard time. He does. He busts on my ass all the time.
He does.
But that's his.
Dale,
Bust on my ass all
yeah,
the time.
he does bust on your ass. Yeah. All the time. I've seen it. I don't care if that's only funny to two of you. We'll move on, but that's funny as fuck to me. Just proving everything we've been saying since the 90s. This is fucking painful. This is really fucking painful.
Okay.
So this is. So I got two clips from the Hawk Tuah girl.
Oh,
because I think hopefully if we're lucky, this is the end. Like if we're lucky, this is the end. I don't know. But
The Chinese just brought back.
This is Bill Maher
Mhm.
just being a fucking stoned ass boomer talking to a Gen Z. Like,
oh, she went on his podcast.
he went on, you know, so he has two podcasts, right? He has the real time, and then he has him smoking pot and drinking with strangers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the smoking pot and drinking episode.
Okay.
So he's high as, I mean, he's got a joint in his hand right there. He's got a light.
He's always high on this show.
Yeah. And I don't think that accounts for this. This sounds like a couple of agents arranged this interview.
Sure.
And he's like, fuck it, it'll get clicked. I told you on the show like a month ago. I was like, she signed with a talent agency. You're going to start seeing her everywhere. I think you said it or Natasha said it. I think both of you did. You were like, what is that? What is that going to mean for her though? Like, how's that going to translate to anything? I'm like, you're going to start seeing her on podcasts everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
and we have.
And yeah, so this is a boomer. This is just a typical boomer Zoomer conversation.
Back a rock from the dark side of the moon.
What?
The Chinese sent a probe up to the moon, and they brought back a rock that from the dark side of the moon. Which
is a real conversationalist. He's not doing his best, but she's
he's not.
What? Just like so many times he sets her up where you should be able to just go with the conversation, like, and she's just like, no.
She doesn't know the yes and thing.
Yeah, exactly.
we had never done.
Maybe they'll smoke it.
I
What
know.
does that do? Moon dust. Actual moon dust.
Why is that a thing, Moon?
Boomer's like, what is this? Some drugs the kids are doing? I've never heard of. Maybe I could try it.
I don't know.
Oh,
But he's actually like off the moon though.
did you see a lot of opioid abuse in your area of?
Again, boomer asked question. Good question when you're trying to lead a fucking interview, right?
Right,
You're like,
right.
I don't know what to fucking ask you. You're from.
It's not a bad
Tennessee.
transition.
Maybe there's
Yeah.
You know, that's the part of the country that.
I don't think. But
No?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that.
You didn't know anybody who was like on Oxy, and they call it the hillbilly heroin.
Mm-mm.
Thanks for coming.
That's I know of. But I don't see anybody openly admitting it, you know.
All right, so you don't want to be in what TV? What did you think about
Jesus.
some kind of TV career?
Yeah, I possibly could.
This is so painful.
The Chinese just brought back a rock.
That is, I mean,
it's pulling teeth, right?
It's the slowest train wreck of all time. It's
He's like, I
just
can't
watching
just
it.
pull a conversation out of you. You won't fucking talk. Like you're on a talk show to talk, and you're
Right.
saying no to questions.
I mean, he is. Some of his questions aren't phrased very well. Clearly, he's definitely high, but yeah, that is painful as fuck.
He goes, okay, well, dead end cul-de-sac.
Yeah, let's move
there.
here. Yeah.
Movies, TV. You don't want to do that? No. Okay. All right.
Do you think he was going to ask her if she wanted to do porn, and then was like, "Don't ask that."
That did not cross my mind, but I bet he was. Yes. I think you're right. Yes. Yeah. Here is the sign that her 15 minutes is truly up. This is her being introduced somewhere. This is Jeb Bush energy.
All right, let's hear it for Warren Saunders and Jelly Roll.
She's introducing Jelly Roll, I guess.
Oh.
All you can hear is her.
Wow.
All right, y'all, we have a little.
Well, first of all, this is a family event, right? Like if it's
Right.
if it's like people there with their wives, they can sort of laugh together. I'm sure they told their wives about it. But like
Right.
there's probably kids here. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to fucking talk to my kids about why I know who this celebrity is. Like, why are you introducing a band with this lady?
There was absolute zero response from that crowd, though. That's pretty like usually there's enough people that have enough beers and then they're just going to react to anything
Just
at a show
nothing,
like
right?
that.
Like,
Yeah, nothing. It was dead.
All right, let's hear it for Warren Saunders and Jelly Roll.
Wow. That's Jesus. I think I've been to concerts where like a random radio personality introduced a
and people
band,
still react.
and people
right?
still react. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I just saw the preview to this one. I don't really remember adding this to the sheet. I trust Loadmaster though, so Alan, try not to get distracted. This is how to attract girls without talking.
Fellas, here's how to attract girls without talking.
Defenestrate a public official. Defenestration.
I remember this. Defenestration is when you throw someone out of a window. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I don't think I knew that.
Why is there a word for that?
It's an odd word.
Is the act of throwing someone out of a window. One of the most famous examples of a defenestration was the second defenestration of Prague. In 1618,
This is strong autism energy, by the way.
a group of Protestant noblemen threw out
I don't know how to talk to girls. Let me tell you what I would do. Defenestrate a public official.
2 Catholic officials and their secretary out of the window of the Castle of Prague. The defenestration was an act of protest against perceived violations of religious freedom against protest, and the event kicked off the 30 Years' War. Throwing a corrupt public official out the window lets the ladies know that you are a real provider man. Any guy can pretend to be the good guy and give a girl some flowers, but a real hero throws a corrupt public official out of the window. Mankind cultivated a rich tradition of defenestrating inept and corrupt political officials. Our modern world has lost its connection to this tradition, and society has suffered because of it. We've allowed corruption to fester in our halls of power, and it's turned into a cancerous tumor that's destroying this country. There is one simple and easy cure to rid us of this cancer and bring this country back on track, and that is bring back defenestration.
Fellas, here's
How about that?
I'm sensing a little bit of Andrew Tate energy there, although maybe slightly misdirected. And then if we
No, you're
did-
saying this is not good dating advice.
No, I don't think so. But also, if we did have a word for that very specific thing, I would think it would be more like Russian in origin for some reason.
Yeah, I know, right? It wouldn't sound so French.
Right.
Yeah. Well, from one extreme to the other, let's see what this is. All I have, music corner, Alan. I got a music corner for you.
All right.
Music corner. Christian sent this one in. I don't remember what this is. I think I should get the explosion ready.
Interesting thumbnail.
What?
I said interesting thumbnail.
Well, that's the performer, Alan.
A dick in my nightstand I can use with my left hand. When I'm alone, it always treats me right. Never too tired on a Friday night. Got a dick in my nightstand.
All right.
What? That's not a good song?
So first of all, that's not the artist because I've heard this song before. She's just playing it. putting her video over it.
You know, she say she's trying to get clicks.
Yes.
No, she doesn't have as many likes as the lady that did our opening segment.
Well, I think the original version of that song has a lot of likes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't get tired on a Friday night. You know what? I like seeing the ladies flip this on us. Like, oh yeah, these guys are always tired on the Friday. I see that. It's fine. I got a headache. I had a whole joke about that. After me and Natasha got married, I was very excited to lose my virginity, but she had a headache. There, I got to tell the joke.
Hey, you did it. You did it.
Yeah.
Well done.
I think that's it for Music Corner. We haven't had an Aussie clip in a while. You want to get a good Aussie button? I was warned that I should get the cum button ready for this.
Oh.
So this guy's clearly talking shit. Oh, so he goes to like a store in Australia, and he's talking shit about that store and Australians for recommending it.
All you fucking Aussies in my comments talking shit, keep it up, dude. I ain't fucking with you no more.
It's Ronald McDonald's little brother.
I love this guy. Loadmaster refers to him as the Aussie George W. Bush.
Okay,
This guy.
Just send your cash.
George W. Let me get
come
the
without solutions.
Without what?
I come without solutions.
Yeah, I come to you without solutions.
Okay, let's see what this red-headed clown's got to say.
Keep it up. Keep running your fucking mouth and see if I don't jerk your fucking dicks off.
So if we come in your comments, you're gonna jerk us off. Well, if you do that, mate, we'll definitely be coming in your comments.
I'll beat your dicks right off your fucking body.
So all I gotta do is make comments about a loudmouth, arrogant American, and I get a free hand job? Better start warming up that wrist, pal.
This guy's a good account. Croc Tails with a period. Croc period tails.
You'll be glad you got free healthcare in this country.
You know, pointing out the benefits that we have in this country that you don't have in yours, mate, is not really a flex on your part.
You're gonna go to the doctor with a beat-off dick, bro. Keep running your mouth.
Oh, don't worry. I will. And actually, you know who I've put a finger on it, who you remind me of? You're like Joe Dirt, but if you bought him off Wish.
I'm gonna be like, damn, you're gonna think 12 ashays just punched you in the butthole.
Did he just say ashay? It's eshay, bruh.
So remember that when you're in my
I actually don't know that word.
I don't know that word either.
It must be Aussie slang I'm unfamiliar with. I'll have to ask our aunt and uncle. They love telling me the Aussie slang.
comments talking shit.
You did the one thing that you should never do when you're in Australia. You came to this country and you made a video bagging out Bunnings Warehouse. How dare you?
I'm unfamiliar with Bunnings Warehouse, but I can't wait to go. By the way, did I tell you I had Vegemite sandwich at the lake? Tasha put extra Vegemite on this week, and it was so good. I fucking love Vegemite. And I was trying to get a picture of the sandwich with the Vegemite showing, and Mithra came up and licked it. Turns out dogs like Vegemite.
You
Maybe
mentioned
not
that
a selling point. Dogs love it.
You mentioned that in your personal life, and I wasn't sure if you were joking or if it was.
No, we got a squeezy bottle of Vegemite, and yeah,
I've never had.
Dude, okay, you can buy it on Amazon. I encourage you to buy it off Amazon. And just if an Aussie gives you Vegemite for the first time, they're gonna prank you. They're gonna give it to you just plain on a cracker or some toast.
Mm-hmm.
If it's on plain toast, it's gonna taste too salty. You might not like it. If you've already enjoyed it, you would probably like it like that. But you need to try it for the first time with a lot of butter to sort of balance it off, like salty with some butter, some savory. But it's already savory, whatever. And just, but like, so she'll put it in a sandwich with like veggies, lettuce. No, there's already veggies, Vegemite, turkey, and then like a thick layer of it on the bottom. And I think there's even avocado in there too. It's so fucking good. And then like, but like once you get accustomed to the flavor, I mean, I can imagine just going up to a jar and just dipping my finger in it. It's so fucking good, man. Are you? It's okay. You don't have to worry about it. Do you still think you're going to be able to make it to the wedding ceremony in San Diego?
I'm still working on it, but I think I will be able to. Yes.
Okay, Natasha earmuffs. Alan,
Mm-hmm.
do you know where I'm going to go with this?
Yes.
We've been here before. You're not in charge of photography this time, so it's
no.
If you can't make it, you can just tell me, okay?
I will let you know.
Okay, all right,
yes,
all right.
For sure.
If I will have some Vegemite aside for you though.
Oh, okay, awesome.
All right, let's go back to the clip. Bunnings Warehouse. He was bagging on Bunnings.
What did you expect? You don't bag out Bunnings, mate.
You talk shit in my comments, you're asking to get your dick beat off.
Honestly, mate, the reason why people are coming into your comments section and leaving you negative comments and bagging you out is because you're being the stereotypical loudmouth, arrogant, obnoxious seppo. Okay, we don't like it. You know, it's not cool. If you don't like, you know, you're living in this country and you sit here and just all you do is make videos about how bad Australia is and how much you hate the place and how America is so much better. If you don't like Australia, mate, airport's just down the road. I'll be more than happy to come around. I'll give you a free lift to the airport. I pretty much guarantee Australians will all pitch in to pay for your airplane ticket to go back to the States. But honestly, I've got a lot of American mates and we do a lot of back and forward American and Australian banter, taking the piss out of each other. It's all in light-hearted humour. It's all for a bit of fun, okay? You, my friend, are just doing this as rage baiting, and you're rage baiting a whole country, purposely making video.
Right, because like his video isn't sincere, right? Like you could tell the guy's full of shit to start with, but he's doing it pretending to be mad.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to get hate comments, and then you're complaining about the hate comments. Seriously, mate, you're an embarrassment to your country. You're making out that stereotypical loudmouth.
This is from a guy that looks like George Bush.
Arrogant, obnoxious American, and you're perpetuating that. And if I was American, I'd be pretty embarrassed about it. You know, as Joel Swall would say, you need to do better. You're embarrassment to your country, and I'm pretty.
I thought there was more opportunities to play the cum sounds, but I guess it was earlier. All right,
Yeah, I think it was earlier.
He
He was jerking him off in the
Oh, that was
section.
probably when I could have
Right,
played
yeah.
it. Yes. Skibbity Congress. Did you hear there's going to be a Skibbity toilet movie?
I did hear that.
Glad I didn't pull a sound for that. It got referenced in this. So, Representative Brad Sherman is in front of Congress, I guess, following up to a previous statement he made about Skibbity something. And just look at this guy. This has strong, the internet is a series of tubes energy, just like people in Congress that are too old to be talking about anything.
Leads to the question, what about Skibbity coin? I thought that was a joke, which leads to the question, what about Skibbity coin? I thought that was a joke until I'm told there already is a Skibbity toilet coin. And once they make the Skibbity coin, the Skibbity toilet movie, will Skibbity coin go to the moon? We don't know.
He had to look down at his notes, right? He's like, will it, what is the phrase?
Go to the moon?
Go to the moon? We don't know.
But why is Bitcoin more valuable than Skibbity coin? It is today, maybe not after the movie. Which leads to the question, what about Skibbity coin?
All right. I was going to play the clip of the series of tubes here, but this is all I can get.
In other ways, but they want to deliver vast amounts of information over the internet. And again, the internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes.
It's a series of tubes.
It's a series of tubes. Oh, I hate the fact that I know what he's trying to say, but I'm not helping it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. All right, let's get. Oh, you know what? We haven't.
Oh,
it's not on this one. It's easier to hit when it's.
Oh
on.
wait, it's supposed to be Kamala.
Okay, well, let me find the page. I've got 10 pages of soundboard here.
How about that?
There we go.
How about that?
Let's get into our
Isn't that something?
segment. Let's start things off with this is where it gets a little bit more serious. Not like series of tubes serious. This is a clip about some things buried in Project 2025 that, you know, if you listen to your right-wing friends, they spent the last several weeks telling you that.
So what if the next time there was
they spent the last
So what if the next time there was a
Okay. If you listen to your right-wing friends, they were spending the last few weeks telling you you were being a reactionary for saying, like, sounds
Yeah, it
like
was no
these are
big
things
deal.
I should be upset about, but I don't know. They're like, no, I looked at it. You know, it's just a blueprint. There's always a blueprint for it's like, dude, like, how much water do you want to fucking carry for someone like I get it that you only have two choices. So if you've backed yourself into one side, you're gonna like cognitive dissonance your way into being okay with things.
Sure.
But like, don't lie to yourself, you know, like, or lie to yourself and keep it to yourself, but don't lie to yourself and be out loud with it, right? Like, it's 900 pages. They TLDR'd us. But in there's a number of things. And here's the newest thing that people on the left have been pointing out. And I don't think I'm fear mongering to share this here.
Deadly hurricane or tornado, you had to pay to find out if it was going to pass over your house. Project 2025 wants to do just that. In case you didn't know, part of your tax dollars, just like $4 per person per year, go to funding the National Weather Service, or NWS for short, the group of meteorologists working together across the country to provide weather data to you, me, and America's favorite weatherman. But companies want to privatize that and make getting weather data a subscription-based model. In fact, the NWS is forced to make a complicated workaround rather than an app for people in order to not compete with the private sector, i.e. the weather app that you probably have on your phone, even though technically you already paid for that info and it should be free. When Trump was in office, he nominated Barry Myers, the former CEO of AccuWeather, to be head of the national...
She's doing the talking fast to get into a real voice, just for pausing sake, in case it kind of tunes out. What she just said is the head of NOAA right now was appointed while Trump was in office. And that person's still in charge there. So the current head was appointed by Donald Trump based off of a list that probably the Heritage Foundation, the people that made Project 2025, gave.
Yeah, who knows back then?
But why would we? But why would we be worried about? I mean, come on, you're being sarcastic with the who knows back then, right?
Yeah,
because every other appointment that he made was based off of a list people gave him.
Somebody gave him,
probably the Heritage Foundation.
Right.
His judges came from the Heritage Foundation list, right?
Yep.
So
well, rooted through Mitch McConnell, but yes, from them, yes.
So on the short list of people that are worthy to run the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, I always want there to be an H because they say NOAA. Was this guy who turns out was a sleeper cell because his whole goal is he used to run AccuWeather. He wants to privatize it. Yeah.
Yes.
Which I'm all for there being a privatized version of this. I think that just in cases, since it's important to all of our military and things like that to have accurate, government backed weather services, we should probably continue to have this service. I don't know what backs the app that I tend to use on my phone. And I don't think that tomorrow I'm going to have to start paying for it if this goes away, right? That part of it's a little reactionary. But the weather app on my phone and Natasha's weather app say different things. So one of them uses one source and one of them uses the other.
Yeah. So if that happens tomorrow, your weather app might have an ad in it or something like that.
Yeah, I suppose so, right? So so they want to get rid of this as a line.
So that way Trump could draw that line to make the story.
That's where I thought it went back to too. Yeah. Explain that more.
So he said the hurricane
Maria, I think.
Yeah, he said it was going to hit this population center, and then the map that he showed
because he talks out of his ass. So while he was talking extemporaneously, he's like, "It's going to hit Tampa," and they're like, "It's not going to go up to Tampa."
And then
he's like, "Well, I already said Tampa," so he drew a Sharpie around it and used that.
Yes.
And that's called lying to the American public about a national disaster. That's you could say this is fear mongering. That is actually fear mongering because he's lying about the scope of the hurricane.
Right.
Which is weird because you think that he would lie about it not being as bad, right?
You think he'd want it to be less bad? Yes. Yeah.
National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration that oversees the Weather Service. He's a big proponent for privatizing weather info and lobbied for years to do so. Apparently, the writers of Project 2025 took note because making us pay to find out if our weekends are washed out or not is literally on pages 664, 674, 675, and well, you get the picture.
All in the 600s. Like I said, they TLDR'd this.
Yeah, it's buried in the copy, right? That's a lot.
So any of the people that are like, it's not that bad. It's like, dude, I hear you. I know you. I doubt you read the 900-page document.
No.
And with the climate crisis continuing to make dangerous weather events a regular thing, do you really think you're going to have time to hit purchase in the middle of a flash flood? So what if the next time there was
it starts over there. This gives me this kind of reminds me of disbanding the pandemic preparedness team before COVID vibes.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of his first acts in 2016 was to disband that, right?
Yeah, we don't need that. That's a waste of money.
Need this. Yeah. It's a weird thing for a germaphobe to not care about.
Actually, that is odd. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share something from a pretty right-wing account. I'm noticing that the page didn't update, actually. Love it when it does this. Hold on, let me just double check on the fly. Well, okay, I don't care which order this happens in. So let me play this first. This is coming from a right-wing account. Their commentary on this post is that this is an obvious lie. This is a Biden
Okay.
quote from today, or actually, I don't know when this clip is from. They shared it today while the news broke about Biden having a bunch of a couple weeks ago he said he was going to do a Supreme Court
Reform, yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to propose Supreme Court reform, which he's proposing through Congress. Like everybody that freaked out was like, the president can't do that. It's like, I know you're thinking about your guy.
Right. Well, we talked about it on the show, and I said, look, it's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. It's
But he formalized what he wanted, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the fucking page isn't updating. So who knows if any of my last minute additions are making it onto the sheet. I love my fucking internet, Alan. I'm gonna turn the Wi-Fi off and see if it gets better.
The internet's been weird recently for me too. I don't know.
The internet has been weird. That set aside all the whole like Google sucks now. Are you hearing literally everybody talking about how much Google sucks?
Yes,
I hear it in podcasts that like don't complain about that kind of shit. Like
I am, and I'm personally experiencing it as well. It's not good.
It's like if I ever Google something, it happens to be what I'm looking for. I'm always amazed.
There should be a way to opt out of the Google AI.
Okay, the weird thing for me is it's when I'm on my Wi-Fi, my phone, even though I can use my Wi-Fi, doesn't connect to my other devices on the same Wi-Fi network. Listeners, if you know anything about this, I'll fix it. But I don't.
My TV fucks up like once or twice a week now. I have to like reboot the whole thing to make it work. I don't because everything comes through the internet. I don't have any like cable or anything. It's all internet.
You know what? If it isn't the Chinese, it's the Houthis. These Houthis.
It's the fucking Houthis. Well, maybe they're cutting those cables. You know, those undersea cables. That's what's happening.
They're in here fucking with my Wi-Fi. That's what they're doing.
God damn it.
With their drones, Alan. Okay, so this is a right-wing account. So take it with a grain of salt, of course, but like because they are like solidly biased right wing. I went to the comments and it was nothing but people commenting about how it's an obvious lie. I get that it's an exaggeration, but I feel like you're a little more careful with this stuff than I am. So like, let me play this clip. I want to hear what you think. Tell me if you think this is really a lie.
President now will be insulated from criminal prosecution.
Jesus, I can't wait to not listen to this guy talk. Could you understand that?
The president now will be immune from criminal prosecution.
Yeah.
Orders a Navy SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival. Immune. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power. Immune. Takes a...
I'm going to play the rest of this, but like, I feel like, because me and you we read a lot of the decisions. I didn't go through it like with a fine-tooth comb, but we also listened to legal experts talk about that are they're like by definition non-biased, at least when they present their programming. They strive to be non-biased with their presentation of the political facts about it. I'm sorry, the legal,
the judicial,
facts,
judicial
facts about yeah. So like and then I've also listened to those experts basically say, well, going forward, I don't know how you're supposed to even interpret what is considered an official act and what isn't considered an official act. So to say that this is a lie of what Joe's saying is a biased statement, because I feel like the cover that the immunity decision gave the president was that if you're very careful about it, you can do these things. Because if you do it in the right way, they can never investigate it. And if they wanted to, they would say, yes, we know all of this that you're saying is true, but you only know that because you're questioning his official acts, which you're not allowed to do.
Yeah, that's a major part of the problem with that decision, I would say.
Do you want to hear more of this just to see?
Sure. Yeah.
A bribe in exchange for pardon. Immune. In every use of official power, the president is now a king. Above the law.
Okay, I guess that was it.
I mean, he's not entirely wrong. So the problem with that decision was a couple of things. So first of all, was that it was very like unclear how to actually apply whatever standard they were saying they were,
because they gave an example and the example only muddied things.
Right. And then the other problem was that some of the things that they were asked even during the trial, like, could the president do this? And then
which was literally presented.
Right. And they're like, well, yeah, I guess. It didn't seem to address any of that. And then, so the other issue with it was that you can't use anything that would be
An
considered an
official act.
official act to prove something that wasn't an official act.
Right.
And you can't go to motive. And so there's no way to build a narrative of a case if you
And they just live in this fantasy land where they're like, well, of course, the public record will back you up. It's like, if they do things that are in the public record, do you not understand that not everything, like one could avoid a public record?
And then how do you define the public record if the president tweets?
Did you listen to that episode of Lawfare?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. I didn't understand anything. I felt like I was more confused, but can you talk about that a little
So
bit?
even
to
like so
listeners what we're talking about?
So even if the president of the United States tweets something from his official account as the president of the United States, is that an official act? Is that public domain? I don't know. They don't clarify that in the ruling. So and then the standard that they said that they tried to set for what would be or wouldn't qualify as an official act, it's very difficult to apply. I mean, so when Trump asked Pence to throw out the election results, and is that an official act? Is that not an official act? Well, he's acting as the president and he's talking to his vice president. But then Pence, in his role as the president of the Senate or the head of the Senate, when he does the electoral count, is he actually working for the legislative branch or is he working for the executive branch? Like, how do we differentiate these things? And Roberts, in his opinion, says no, that's part of the executive branch, not the legislative branch,
which only raises more questions. Like, in their attempt to answer a question that was not asked, they elaborated in a way that like created more problems.
Yeah, it's just
which all it'll do, all that's going to do is allow someone to overstep, and then they'll find a way to say it wasn't a bad thing for them to do that because they created this gray area. They created a gray zone.
100% they did. Yes.
So you can say he's a liar if that's your bias. He's saying statements that were made ambiguous because the Supreme Court wouldn't just go out there and say, no, this is clearly illegal. No one should have the power to do that just because they're the president. And no one should ever want to live in a country where the president gets to do that.
Yeah. I mean, even the whole thing about the bribes. So if somebody pays you a bribe for a pardon,
which is one of the things they actually, when they wrote the Constitution, one of the only things they said was like, well, certainly bribery is not okay.
Right. But a pardon is an executive act. And so if you pardon somebody, you can't even bring that into the narrative of the case if they were bribed, because that's an executive act. That's you're acting within that circle.
Which again, in reality is the people of, just to keep it with SEAL Team 6, I would actually hold them to a higher regard than this. It's just a hypothetical. Say you told them to do that. They said, no, that's illegal. You said, no, it's okay. I'll pardon you.
Right. Then what? And then if you don't,
there it sounds okay.
And then if you don't do it, I'll fire you.
Because they do not have the president's immunity.
Right.
But if he extends it to them, and then he has to honor that, in which case I wouldn't hold my breath with Trump.
Yeah.
He didn't even honor his bag man. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, if history teaches you one thing, you got to keep your promises to your bagmen. Like, they will roll.
Right.
College football coaches know this. Like, how does the president not know this? Right?
I don't think
universities have gone under because of SMU went under because of this. Like, sorry, it's niche.
I don't think he would have rolled if Trump had just paid him.
Of course not. Of course not.
We wouldn't know any of that.
He wanted some bullshit appointment, right?
Yeah.
And now what's he trying to do? Project 2025. Put all those people in the right positions. Ooh, Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, look at me using logic in a way that you can't comprehend. Speaking of things people don't seem to comprehend, when would you say World War III started?
Oh, well, I would hope to say that it hasn't started yet.
But if you're being realistic, 2014, right?
Crimea? Is that
because there's people that act like, okay, so like, look, okay, when did World War II start?
Oh, well, basically
when Germany invaded
the Treaty of Versailles.
Shut up, Alan. Jesus. I didn't expect you to go backwards from where I was going to back it up to. So no, the accepted initiation of World War II is when Germany invades Poland.
Sure.
Realistically, though, like the rape of Nanking was pretty fucking brutal, and it had to do with two of the major warring factions of, like, you can start the hostilities of World War II back to Japan going into China.
Sure.
So and it's like, I don't know why you wouldn't, like, why is one imperial conquest less important because they're Orientals, right, Alan? Do we say Orientals still or no? No, I feel like it has to do with the East.
Is that the preferred nomenclature?
Nomenclature, Chinaman, right? Okay. So I've decided to stop fucking around and having all these like, oh, let's talk about Ukraine. Oh, let's talk about Israel. We just do World War III updates. So we got World War III corner.
Right.
World War III corner. This is the most passive way anybody's accepted that the world's at war probably ever. So yeah, it's easier when you realize it started 10 years ago, right? Like
it does make it a little bit easier pill to swallow,
too, right? Well, which is hilarious because I've got a clip of Trump later on saying like, we got to avoid World War III. It's like, bro, you were in office. Like you should know better. We've been at war. It's World War III. Which is a good sign, right? It's been going for 10 years and nobody's nuked anyone yet. We'll be fine.
We'll put that in the win column. Sure.
We'll be fine. So here's an update that kind of slipped under the radar. I saw this a couple days ago. I added it to the show and I haven't heard other people talking about it. It appears Russia has been giving the Houthis some weapons, which makes sense in the context of World War III.
Russia sent cruise missiles to the Houthis in Yemen to better threaten international shipping. So this popped up a couple of days ago in the Wall Street Journal. And at first I didn't think this was all that credible because Russia needs all of its missiles for its own war in Ukraine. And then my old boss, Major Adam Kraft, wrote me about this and told me his concerns. And if he's concerned about something, you should be concerned about it too. So I think kind of here's the deal with Russia possibly giving anti-ship missiles to the Houthis. Ukraine doesn't really have a navy. So if these anti-ship missiles can't be somehow converted to a land attack mode, they're just kind of
Ukraine doesn't have a navy?
I mean, they have drones.
How do you explain all that semen?
sitting there unused. So if Russia gives these to the Houthis in Yemen, it just becomes another tool in their toolkit to cause chaos in the region. And Russian anti-ship missiles are the real freaking deal. They're not some Iranian cobbled together lawnmower engine duct taped on top of a warhead. Russia knows how to do anti-ship missiles because they had to worry about resupply convoys moving across the North Atlantic if they ever fought World War III. So I could see Russia giving these weapons to the Houthis as a way of saying, if you continue to support Ukraine, we're going to make international shipping even harder. Could
button.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that
so a couple things about the whole the problem with the Houthis being armed and being able to take out international shipping through the canal. If you're concerned about inflation, shipping a container, I don't remember the region.
17 times better than rail.
Yeah, but it's also up like 8x since the Houthis started taking boats out. So it cost like it used to cost.
Did you see that time that the Houthis blew up that oil tanker, and then the next day, the news was the Houthis actually blew up an oil tanker, and then the next day they were like, "Yeah, that was a Russian black market tanker selling oil to China." So great job, because you're fucking just.
So the cost of shipping a container, like a 60-foot container, I want to say was like $1,300, something like that.
Jesus,
yeah,
that
sounds
is
right.
not enough.
And then it went to 9,000 after over 9,000 after the
Spoiled it. You didn't hear it. Say that again.
So it went from 1,300 to 9,000 to ship this container.
Wow.
So like 8x, right? And then also the environmental impact of the amount of fuel that ships have to spend to go around the Horn of Africa as opposed to the canal is massive. The amount of time it takes, so your supply chain is now backed up.
Right.
All of these things caused by that one thing, and Russia is supporting it. That's fucking
well, but that's right up their alley, right? Like Russia and China want to have deglobalization. They want to see the decoupling, so that actually fits what they would prefer to see, which I think he kind of said, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep it on the World War III tip and talk about. Oh, funny, I said tip. Let's play a clip from antiwar.com, Dave DeCamp, which I used to love listening to antiwar.com. It's just turned into the fucking Gaza horror show. I've started skipping as soon as he goes, all right, this next one here. He starts every news story. Like I might go, okay, what's next? I've noticed I say that a lot, but I'm nothing like Dave DeCamp. He's like every single news item. He goes, okay, this next one here. But if he goes, all right, this next one here is pretty gruesome. I'm like, I know to skip ahead like 2 minutes. It's just going to be a bunch of babies and sad stories. Like I care about them, but like I don't need to hear that at 7:30 in the morning. I know it exists. I don't live in a fantasy world when I skip that. Anyway, this was not that.
Do not come.
It was just about that. Yeah.
Do not come.
Do not come.
I'm a human and I'm coming.
I just thought it was funny to play Dave DeCamp saying "Do not come." So
it's like we become a cum themed podcast.
We
I
are a
don't-
cum themed podcast. That's
Okay,
true.
yeah.
It's true. It's true. So the do not come comment was in context of, so that was from this morning's episode. So the broader quote was him saying that people in Israel. So can you talk about the rocket attacks in the Golan Heights?
Yeah, so it
That's
hit
what it was about.
it hit what, like a football field or a baseball
Football,
field?
if you're
Football?
not someone who speaks English. I know the British people like to pretend like they didn't create the word soccer because it's convenient,
Right.
but soccer, it was a soccer field, yes.
Yeah, it killed.
So talk about everything about it. Basically, it's in the northern area of Israel, and they were saying, "Do not come up there and protest." That's
Oh, I know that the people that lived in that area, or the people that were targeted or were hit, were of the
Druze,
which is a sort of a sect that have. So the originally they were Syrian citizens, and then when after the war, Israel took over that area, they were sort of
67, right?
right.
Yeah.
So they
Which
were sort
every
of
time someone goes to war with Israel, Israel's land grows. So by all means, Hezbollah.
yeah. And so they were sort of encompassed within that area, and some of them became Israeli citizens. Some have even served in the Israeli military, become politicians,
It
etc.
is worth pointing out that a lot of them haven't become Israeli citizens.
Sure.
By choice.
Yes. So there's sort of a yes, we are Israeli, and then but also we're not Israeli thing. And so then the whole question was, well, how would the Israeli government react to this? Would they respond as if it were, an average Israeli citizen, or would they hold back a little bit because they were Druze?
It was kind of weird to hear the reporters talk about it, hoping to not see conflict and be like, maybe they won't go after them because these are just Druze. It's
Yes.
like, wow.
Yeah, I think it was 12 people killed.
It was 12,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be a little heartless here. When I first saw these headlines, it was Israel reporting that a rocket landed in Israel and killed 12 children. And I'm sorry, after the 40 beheaded babies, you don't like I'm not saying that I haven't accepted it by now because it's been several days.
Sure.
But when Israel tells me that children got attacked while Israel is the one under the microscope for killing a bunch of kids, I don't fucking believe them. Like, just what like George Bush taught us. You fool me once, but
Can't get fooled again.
Can't get fooled again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, by now I do believe that is the truth of this.
Yeah, I believe
But
that's right.
like, it rings of Israeli propaganda. So, yeah. This is in the Golan Heights, like you said. It's a territory that Israel acquired after somebody decided to fuck around with them, and then they found out. Here's something about protesting. Oh, so this you would think that must be what led to this. I have a clip that's going to be in a bunch of Israeli language, but here's a protesting crowd. So you would think that these are people protesting the fact that 12 kids got murdered, right?
You would think so, yeah.
Oh, what were these guys protesting?
I don't
Are you aware of what happened? This is right before we started recording. This happened this afternoon.
I don't think I am. What
All right,
happened?
so Israeli mobs decided to actually, I have a play-by-play. Let's see if it made it into the sheet. Okay, great. I got a play-by-play here.
Okay.
So Hamas POWs,
Prisoners of war, okay.
that Israel has been fighting against, were captured and sent to a facility. So at least like believed to be Hamas POWs were sent to a facility, right?
Okay.
You could think of it as like Abu Ghraib, right?
Okay.
Or like Guantanamo.
Gitmo, yeah.
Yeah. Well, reports came out that a bunch of those prisoners were being tortured, and there was at least one case of a rape. The IDF military police heard about this and arrested a few soldiers that they considered suspects.
Okay.
And then who's Ben Gvir?
He's the Minister of Defense?
Yeah, Minister of War, Minister of Defense. Yeah. So
Super radical right wing dude
within Israel.
Yes.
His mob stormed the place where did you say G's or Jews?
I said G's.
All right. All right, Alan. Maybe you said Druze.
No, I said
Druze.
Jeez.
Oh, okay.
Because he's done stuff like this before.
Oh God, he's an instigator. Like
Yeah,
you want to be the most kind about Ben Gvir, you could say instigator, because he goes up to the temple on the mount or on the dome. What is it?
The Dome of the Rock. Yeah.
Dome of the Rock. Just because he's like, well, Jews are allowed to come here to worship. He's like, yeah, but they're not allowed to come here to protest, and you come here to protest disguised as like
he likes inciting angry mobs. It's kind of his
an
thing.
instigator, right?
Yes.
So Ben Gvir's mob went and stormed the station. Part of this mob included members of the Knesset, which they instead of being MPs, they call them MKs, which makes me
Ministers of the Knesset. Yeah,
makes me think of MK Ultra though. To try to prevent the soldiers from being arrested for being terrible to a prisoner and potentially raping one. Like just like the mind of the average right winger in Israel is just so fucking rotted, man. Like, and those are the people pushing. Those are so when you like get over all the emotion of what I just said and you just think of the reality of it, the reason why Bibi can't back off what's going on in Gaza is because these are the people that will turn on him, and he's on a knife's edge with his grip on power. He's already like facing trials that aren't happening because he's a wartime president.
Yep. And the government that he formed, he had to include this far right wing.
Which before this war happened, we're like, that's a bad scenario. I wonder what those people are going to do with the judicial reform. Whoa, this is the end of Israel. It's going to be the judicial reform. And then this happened, and they're like, never mind. They're just leading the war.
Yeah. So he has absolutely no incentive to come to a ceasefire.
Not only no incentive, it's
the incentive's the other direction. Yeah.
To behave rationally at all. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, I opened a growler up and I brought it into the room on a bunch of ice packs, and I just keep filling this. I have no idea how much I've had to drink. I am sorry.
What is it? What kind of beer?
It's called Left Coast, Best Coast, which
it's an IPA.
It's an IPA. How could you tell?
Because you said West Coast.
Yeah. They don't make any other kind of beer out there, huh?
When you say West Coast, that pretty much means IPA. Yeah.
Either in the hidden track or early in this one, I said that I have a full clip of Vice President Harris's response after her meeting with Bibi.
Oh yeah.
Did I play a clip of Joe Biden earlier?
You did.
When I first saw that clip, I looked at it almost like, you know how dogs have like object permanence where it's like, how'd that ball come out from the other side of your hand? Like,
right.
What? Like, I saw Joe Biden and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Oh, right. The president. I forgot about you. Like,
you're still here.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing here? Did you see like Andy Ogles is like, I came here to do my job, which is to impeach Kamala Harris. Like, what? Because if you think about it, if you impeach Kamala Harris, you're going to do it in the context of her covering for Joe, which puts him out, which puts Mike Jones in charge. Not Mike.
Big Mike.
Mike Johnson. Yeah.
Yes.
Just, you know what? I keep trying to bring that back up as often as I can because I don't think that's a 0% chance of happening. And I want it on the fucking record on the show that I think that's in play. But you can't come up with, they can't come forward with that. They just have to do the actions.
One thing at a time. Yeah.
Anyway, so this is Kamala Harris's short speech. This might be a minute long after her meeting with Netanyahu last Thursday. I frankly find nothing wrong in this speech. I don't want to say it that black and white before she does a bunch of coconut tree shit. But, given what we've been putting up with for the last 4 years, I am pleased to see somebody discuss the non-binary aspect of this situation.
Okay.
I just had a frank and constructive meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. I told him that I will always ensure that Israel is able to defend itself, including from Iran and Iran-backed militias such as Hamas and Jizzbullah. From when I
keep hearing Jizzbullah. The Economist called it Jizzbullah, and I didn't check later in the day. I thought it was a typo. The Economist spelled it H-I-Z Bullah.
They pronounced it that way or spelled it that way?
They spelt it that way with like
really
Jizzbullah, but that's not. Don't call it Jizzbullah, right? Don't call the show that.
Guess what?
Let me go play this.
When I was a young girl collecting funds to plant trees for Israel, to my time in the United States Senate and now at the White House, I have had an unwavering commitment to the existence of the State of Israel, to its security, and to the people of Israel. I've said it many times, but it bears repeating. Israel has a right to defend itself.
When someone says bears repeating, do you think of Jack White? But it bears repeating now.
I will now.
And how it does so matters. Hamas is a brutal terrorist organization. On October 7, Hamas triggered this war when it massacred 1,200 innocent people, including
the number they settled on.
Yes,
I do remember that being higher. I remember 1,400, Alan.
Oh, I don't. Okay,
that's fine. I just like we'll play the rest of this, but what we said earlier, where we're like, if you have a clear-cut opinion about this, you lack, or you're willfully, or you're choosing to, which is the same thing, lack of like a broader comprehension. Fuck, I'm struggling. Can you say what I'm trying to say, bud?
This is a very complicated conflict, and it goes back decades and decades, and there's a lot of water under these
people.
bridges.
The one thing people say that is wrong, they're like, this has been going on for thousands of years. No, this has been going on since 1945. But.
Yeah, it's decades. And so if to just come out and say one way or the other, this side is right, this side is wrong, there's so much there's so much complication.
I contain these two wolves inside of me. I fucking hate the leaders of the country of Israel and their actions. Yes. And I find it disgusting, the people who have hijacked Gaza and have made those poor innocent people suffer through everything that what they have caused by instigating a fight with their neighbor, which happened because of things Israel did to make them mad enough to do that. I understand all that, but it's not cut and dry. Like
It's absolutely not. But we've been talking about that since October 9th.
We've been talking about this since as long as we've done the show.
No, but I'm saying this about this specific conflagration. We've been talking about this literally since October 9th, where it was like, my first take was, look, all Israel's doing is creating more terrorists. And
do you remember what I said? I was like, they have 72 hours.
2 hours.
About 3 days to get away with whatever they want, and then the heat's going to come down. And I don't think it even lasted that long.
No. Well, people like Sam Harris would tell you that the heat started coming down before it even started.
Yeah.
But
Hezbollah was firing rockets on the 8th.
But
for America.
Go play it.
Americans. Hamas has committed.
I clipped over it. 44 Americans were included in that. So,
yes.
Did horrific acts of sexual violence and took 250 hostages. There are American citizens who remain captive in Gaza.
Doesn't get sad enough.
Sagi Deko Hen, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, Idan Alexander, Keith Siegel, Omer Nutra, and the remains of American citizens Judy Weinstein, Gad Haggai, and Itai Hen are still being held in Gaza. I have met with the families of these American hostages.
This is a fucking leader. You've seen every visceral reaction I've had when you talk about her being president. And I'm telling you right now, I'm watching this thinking, that's a fucking leader.
That's the person you want to stand up in the room. Yes.
I mean, I don't have to like her, and I look forward to hating her for 4 years, but that's leadership.
Multiple times now. And I've told them each time they are not alone, and I stand with them. And President Biden and I are working every day to bring them home. I also expressed with the Prime Minister my serious concern about the scale of human suffering in Gaza, including the death of far too many innocent civilians. And I made clear my serious concern about the dire humanitarian situation there, with over 2 million people facing high levels of food insecurity, and 500,000 people facing catastrophic levels of acute food insecurity. What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. The images of dead children and desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety sometimes displaced for the second, third, or fourth time. We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent. Thanks to the
said I found an extra $2 billion to give them. Sorry, that's Ukraine. That's Ukraine.
leadership of our President Joe Biden, there is a deal on the table for a ceasefire and a hostage deal. And it is important that we
don't let Bibi fuck this up like he keeps doing. I know Hamas keeps fucking it up too. Loadmaster, I know. But you've been on Safari. There have been a lot of instances of new Hamas keeps coming to the table and saying, okay, all these things we've backed out of before, we're okay with.
Right.
And Bibi keeps going, it's not politically expedient for me to still
I don't want
do
to do
that
that
anymore.
Yeah.
Bibi is the one that's fucking up the negotiations.
100%. Yes.
100%, not just 75.
Maybe
75 is close.
75 is close.
We'll go with 75 because I don't want to give Hamas that much credit. Like that, I bet they're being disingenuous at times too. And I bet when it comes down to put their pen on the paper, they'll find a way to say, actually, I just want this one more thing too. I don't doubt that. But what I'm seeing is that every time that they get close to that, it is not in Bibi's best interest for there to be a ceasefire, because then he has to start facing the music at home.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've detailed that multiple times in the show. Yeah, absolutely.
recall what the deal involved.
I don't like arguing with Loadmaster. He's usually right.
The first phase of the deal would bring about a full ceasefire, including a withdrawal of the Israeli military from population centers in Gaza. In the second phase, the Israeli military would withdraw from Gaza entirely.
And Hamas has actually, at least in the negotiations, agreed to that.
They have.
I agree with you. I don't trust them to sign an agreement with that. We should find out if they will, but like they have said that they will sign that.
Yes.
And it would lead to a permanent end to the hostilities. It is time for this war to end, and end in a way where Israel is secure, all the hostages are released, the suffering of Palestinians in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can exercise their right to freedom, dignity, and self-determination. There has been hopeful movement in the talks to secure an agreement on this deal. And as I just told Prime Minister Netanyahu, it is time to get this deal done. So to everyone who has been calling for a ceasefire, and to everyone who yearns for peace, I see you and I hear you.
Just in the parlance of our times.
Let's get the deal done so we can get a ceasefire to end the war. Let's bring the hostages home, and let's provide much needed relief to the Palestinian people. And ultimately, I remain committed to a path forward that can lead to a two-state solution. And I know right now it is hard to conceive of that prospect, but a two-state solution is the only path that ensures Israel remains a secure Jewish and democratic state, and one that ensures Palestinians can finally realize the freedom, security, and prosperity that they rightly deserve. And I will close with...
How can you imagine, I want to hear a closing statement, but I'll ask this anyways. How can you imagine people 25 years from now living happily and secure in Gaza, knowing that this happened 25 years prior?
I can't. I'm trying to think of what it would be like to be a younger person. Maybe you're just, in college, you're like 19, 20 years old, and you don't have all the history that we've lived through with this whole conflict and what you're thinking right now. And I would understand why people would be very confused.
Oh, it's understandable. It's
totally understandable.
Yeah. I don't lack that when I exercise. I'm just, it's like,
I will say, and you already kind of have said this, and I know we still have a closing statement, but this is a very sober speech. It is acknowledging that, yes, Israel has a right to exist, but also the atrocities being committed in Gaza are unacceptable, and we need to end this war. And I think it's been very well said. So you're absolutely correct. This is the kind of leadership that we've
been craving, right? Like this isn't just Trump going up there and being like, big words, or by
Right.
big words, 3 syllables, like, the strongest, and we destroyed them.
Be the
And
best.
yeah.
We're gonna
And
build
it's
the
not,
best
and it's not,
beachfront property.
and it's not the opposite of that either. It's not,
No.
well, I was having ice cream and then I heard about, like, it's just like, this
Yeah.
is, we've been desperate for this for fucking
Yeah,
years.
when I talked about the episode we did right after he decided to step down, it felt like,
This is what you were hopeful of?
well, yeah, but what I said was it felt like, the
'Cause
tension
I
in the
didn't
room,
see this as a possibility. I
the
didn't
tension
I
in the
did not
room was
expect this from her.
the tension in the room was so great, and I don't even think we even realized how much tension there was until somebody cut it, and then you're like, "Oh, fuck, we can breathe now. We can actually
Yeah.
see a path forward," which just was not you couldn't see it
You
with
know what?
Biden.
We got a lot more Kamala and
Yeah.
Trump and election coverage to get to. So let's get through this. I forgot. Okay.
This then. It is important for the American people to remember the war in Gaza is not a binary issue.
Non-binary.
However, too often the
I'm expecting a bigger pop from that. I understand. It's a pun.
conversation is binary, when the reality is anything but. So I ask my fellow Americans to help encourage efforts to acknowledge the complexity, the nuance, and the history of the region. Let us all condemn terrorism and violence. Let us all do what we can to prevent the suffering of innocent civilians, and let us condemn anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate of any kind. And let us work to unite our country. So I just
That was really good. How many flags are that behind her? It's like 1, 2, 3,
4 and
5. There's at
5.
least
Yeah.
5. There's one over there.
No, I love, how many times have we said non-binary on the show, as far as, oftentimes we are presented with these like option A, option B, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, there's plenty of more ways. You talked about disliking the whole zero sum thing, and it's like,
It's so fun. I'm sorry. This is me when you know me well enough, right? Like I have a thought in me that I actually plan on. I have a clip later in the show.
Oh, okay. All right.
But please go on. But like
Oh, no.
you talking about how I always talk about zero sum means so much to me. I was like, oh, you remember that? Because I got a clip in case you forgot. Yeah.
No, I love that. Like, because both sides can
dragged
get
us
wins.
into this zero sum game. I feel like before Trump, we acted like we lived in a world of prosperity, where it's like not prosperity, but abundance.
Abundance, yeah.
Like you might have to have trade-offs, but there is enough for all of us to be satisfied if we find a win-win solution to things.
Yep.
And Trump dragged us, and that was when I stopped liking him. You could call me TDS for all the other things that I'll point out that are downstream from it, but initially I was like, my worldview is not zero sum. And this man talks about there being a game where there's 100% of the pie and you only get, this much to go around. And it doesn't fucking work like that. You find ways for everyone to be happy.
Compromise
It might take some work to compromise, and some people will still be mad, but like you don't just force it down, and the left's just as guilty of forcing their shit onto other people. And we criticize that.
Yep.
But Trump explicitly is zero sum.
Yes.
So go on with what you were saying, but
I
tickled
think
me, Alan.
No, I love hearing her saying that, because we've been saying we've been making similar mouth noises for years on this show, about how there's a way for all of us to win, and compromise and make a world where everybody can thrive. And that is the American dream. So
I agree with you. Speaking of a cop, because we had Kamala on there.
Yeah.
And speaking of the fact that this was a news story that didn't fall into the headlines show, and I don't want to wait until the next headlines show because I feel like it's already slipping out of the news cycle and we haven't covered it.
Okay.
Sonia Massey.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you?
Is that
really? It's not a quiz. It's not a quiz. Sonia Massey.
Shocking body camera video released today shows the deadly police shooting of Sonia Massey.
We gave a shit about shit like this.
Mother of two called 911 just before 1 a.m. because of a possible prowler, only to be shot by a deputy inside her own Illinois home. The now former deputy faces 3 counts of first-degree murder. CBS's Roxana Saberi has the video that shows the chaotic moments, and we do want to warn you that it is hard to watch.
The body camera video reveals the
Sorry, this is kind of staggered between American politics and then back to some like niche, like ACAB shit, but like
Mhm.
I didn't want to start. Isn't that something with, or how about that? What is this? Isn't that something with this?
Events leading up to the horrific scene.
What took you so long to answer the door?
Oh, I was trying to put on some clothes, sir. I'm sorry.
You doing all right mentally?
Yes.
Sure?
My medicine and stuff.
All right. Okay.
I love you.
I don't doubt that there's something going on with her mentally, but like you can tell he's coming to the door hot and hostile, right?
Yeah.
Inside the home, Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson can be heard asking Sonia Massey to check on the stove.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Within seconds, things
So he asks her to go over to the stove, check on the stove. So she walks up to the stove. She's probably, it's fisheye lens. So let's say 15, 12, let's say 12 feet away from him.
It's about right. Yeah.
become tense.
Huh? Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
He said he's going to back up because she's holding a pot with hot boiling water.
Okay.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
And she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. She starts honestly talking crazy, you know? And I don't blame him for putting some distance between him and her.
Sure. She's going off on a little tangent.
No, that's where I got
His response to her saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus is, you better not. I will shoot you right in your fucking face. And guess what he does within like 5 seconds, Alan?
Massey starts to set down the pot and apologizes. Grayson fires.
The deputy that was there with him says, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to, we don't have to. This isn't,
Yeah. Gratuitous.
He says that's a kill shot. You got her right in the face. Like he shot her right in the, he's a great shot. I'll give him that. Was this on, like, you heard about this, right?
I was aware.
Yeah.
Of it, yeah.
And then the footage after, I guess I'll save that. I don't know if I really want to dwell on this too long. There was a time where we cared about this shit. And I'm not saying, hey, it's an election year, let's get out there and protest. But there was a time where this would, now, man, I'm tempted to go into the whole, it was 2020 and we were sitting at home, we had nothing else to do, so let's go fucking protest. But there was a time where police brutality drew a reaction from us that I expected from this, and it didn't happen. This is worse than anything I've ever seen. Like there is something that's hard to imagine of keeping your knee on someone's neck for 6 minutes while they're like struggling to breathe.
Yeah.
And it, since it's been so long and I've heard enough people argue it, I even get the whole interaction between that cop and George Floyd. He's still wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to get on here and say that he was right to do it, but like that, just once the guy's not breathing, like maybe he's not a threat, you can take your knee off his fucking neck. I'm not going to rehatch that. But from across the room with the deadly weapon of a boiling pot of water, shot her in the fucking face.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the no-knock warrant, Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor. This is,
yeah.
Remember that guy? He was over the
shot through the
with his hand up over the retaining wall.
Yes,
just like shooting,
just
through
firing shots randomly.
Yeah,
that was pretty egregious. But this is by far,
and it was on camera right in front of them. Like,
yeah.
So this guy was that cop was discharged from the army for serious misconduct, including 2 DUIs.
Of course.
Now, I don't stop. Sorry. I wonder what our future president has to say about people with DUIs, Alan.
When I am elected president of the United States, I will legalize drunk driving. How about elected president of the United States? I will legalize drunk driving. How about that?
Palate cleanser.
Let me tell you what I will do when I am elected.
How about that?
How about that, indeed?
How about that? I know what you're thinking, though. It's kind of weird for me to play a clip of Kamala right after this whole thing about police brutality. I know what you're expecting. You're expecting my TDS to show up, and you're thinking, like, how on earth can I tie my Trump derangement syndrome into this subject? Don't worry, I got you guys.
To give immunity to police so they can do their job. I'm giving federal immunity to police officers so they can do their job.
I already have
it. We're going.
Hey, look at that. That says Trump Vance. That's a new speech. That just happened. That's in
that's
2
recent.
weeks. Yeah. It's okay, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
All right. We had to cover that. I'm sorry if I shoehorned it in. If I could go back, I would have maybe found a way to make the show flow better without that as air breaks. Is it good? Are we good?
We're good. We're good. We can move on. Yes.
Let's talk about elections. And if we're going to talk about elections, I think we should start with the most pressing one, which is the Venezuelan elections, right, Alan?
Maria Machado.
This is pretty interesting. So, do you know the whole story about what was going on in Venezuela with the opposition candidates and what was going on with their most popular candidate and who was actually on the ballot? Can you refresh that at all, or do you want me to?
So yeah, so it was Maria Machado was a very popular candidate. She was almost a so it's a very religious country, and
The
she
fact
was
her name was Maria was helpful.
yeah, she was kind of revered almost by a lot of her
They would
fans.
throw rosary beads at her.
Yeah,
She'd take her short tits, right?
right.
No?
No. And Venezuela's been through it, since the oil market dipped. They weren't able to maintain their sort of socialist structure that was there before. They've seen high inflation, low wage growth. It's
Don't
been
base
bad.
your economy off one commodity.
Yeah, it's been bad for your average person. A lot of people have left Venezuela for better economic opportunities elsewhere in South America or Central America or North America. And so she was seen as sort of this candidate that was going to fix all of that, bring people back to Venezuela, make it a good economy again. And
That was
so
actually one of her promises, is to bring people home.
yeah, so Maduro had her removed from the ballot essentially. And so what happened after that was one of the people that was allowed to run in this election as an opposition candidate took her on as a VP pick essentially. And so
I didn't know she was his VP. I thought she
Yeah.
was just sort of like insinuated to be.
no, I think she was part of the ticket. I don't know if it's VP exactly how they term it there, but yeah, she's part of the ticket. And so while she wasn't the name at the top of the ticket, she was the one that was really
It was a vote
driving.
for her, and she was
Yeah.
incredibly popular. There
Yeah.
weren't rallies for Maduro.
No. So there was a lot of energy behind her. The people were out in the streets. They were, it was a really big deal. And so at least what, reporting is saying that the Maduro campaign or administration just didn't expect this to happen. They didn't expect the opposition party to sort of unite like that because the opposition party has been very fractious in Venezuela.
Yeah, I found it. Okay.
So so they had the election Sunday, and so they are now saying that Maduro won by like 51%, but they're not willing to release any of the actual.
But did you say by
numbers.
51%?
Yes,
That's
51 point
hilarious.
something.
It's like, look, guys, I know a lot of you think you voted for the other guy. I squeaked it out.
Yeah,
I squeaked
he said,
it out. We're rigging it, but we barely went.
It's like 51.3 or something to 40 something.
But like all the poll watching agencies were like
The exit polls are saying very
80% to the other guy. Like,
landslide.
not even close. Yeah,
Not even close.
You said landslide. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have records of, or theoretically they do if there's not,
Yeah. If they don't get
put through a
destroyed.
paper shredder at this point.
Yeah.
But they have like individual records at each polling location. But so far, the government has refused to release any sort of documentation about that this actual election being free and fair, or these votes were actually counted correctly.
Fuck them.
Right?
Yep.
That's what Maduro says.
Fuck them.
Pretty
Thanks,
much.
Alex Trebek. So here's Abe Lincoln talking about it.
If my colleagues will indulge me for just 1 minute, I want to speak quickly to the elections that just took place in Venezuela. We applaud the Venezuelan people for their participation in the July 28th presidential election.
Sorry, this guy's low energy, Jeb, but like, I just want to tell you, fantastic summary of that, man. Like, I couldn't ask for more than thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I was on top of him.
No, fantastic summary of that.
All
Like,
right, cool.
Yeah, when I passed that to you, I was like, okay, I don't have to talk.
We commend their courage and commitment to democracy in the face of repression and in the face of adversity. We've seen the announcement just a short while ago by the Venezuelan Electoral Commission. We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people. It's critical that every vote be counted fairly and transparently, that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay, and that the electoral authorities publish the detailed tabulation of votes. The international community is watching this very closely and will respond accordingly. Now,
that was a lot more boring than anything you said, dude. I'm sorry. You want to bring the fucking mood back up? Like,
So it's been interesting to see how other countries have reacted to this election,
and
it's
the
been,
protests within, right? Like they've been
yeah,
tearing down Maduro posters.
yeah, I saw that online. But there's been a mix. So some countries, your obvious, like your Russias, have been like, oh yeah, cool, Maduro, good job.
Yeah, we'll just hit the
But then there's been some South American countries have been like, no, we're not sure about this. So that's been good to see. The concern is that there might be some serious political violence, which is possible. As of recording, I haven't seen any of that happen, but people are.
There was one confirmed death.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah.
People are pretty pissed off.
Have they considered storming their capital?
I couldn't tell you that one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, we can move on if you're ready to.
Yeah, we can.
You have more. Okay. I have a clip. So speaking of violent mobs, after Trump was nearly assassinated, all of the spin around him was that, he's going to tone down the rhetoric and he's going to be a unity candidate and all of that, right?
Bring people together.
Yeah. As someone who's come close to death and had a moment of like, you know what, I'm going to be a laid back, easygoing dude from now on. It lasts for a little bit, but I'd say it's been about 2 weeks. That makes sense. Here's what he's had to say for himself since then.
In this country, some analysts talked of Donald Trump as a changed man after he survived an assassination attempt. So let's ask the candidate.
No, I haven't changed. Maybe I've gotten worse.
In this country, some analysts.
No, I haven't changed. Maybe I've gotten worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Steven Skeep with a tip in.
Steven Skeep's doing a great job of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So last time we checked, there was going to be a second presidential debate.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not even Catholic, but Trump pulled out.
You could not have a clear contrast between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And let me tell you something. He's pretty afraid. Y'all see, he's backing out of the debate now. He's afraid.
So this is one of the guys on the short list to be vice president to Kamala Harris. This is Josh Shapiro. Josh?
Yes.
We can't have a vice president, Josh. Anyway.
Afraid to stand toe-to-toe with our vice president.
You got to be Joshua.
And you know why that is? It's not just because she's a skilled debater. It's not just because she's got the right positions on the issues that matter most to the good people of Pennsylvania.
Alan, are you getting bricked up hearing about positions with Kamala? You heard that? Hi, I saw you. I know you like her.
In this country. It's because he can't run away from his record any longer. Yeah. You could not have a...
So he can't run away from his record any longer. That's a pretty decent argument. I mean, it makes sense that he's not going to debate. Like, I'm not surprised by it.
Oh, I said it on the show. I don't know, whenever this all happened. It's like there's no way. I mean, unless he's absolutely, out of his mind, which he might be, but people around him should not allow that to happen because it's not going to go well for him.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Do you want to hear Liberal Network talking to their liberal viewers about Project 2025? Is that's going to like make any impact on the? Okay.
To the southwest wall with charts on those financial implications of Project 2025. Proposals include higher taxes on lower income Americans, increased student loan payments, and major cuts to Medicaid.
Ever since I heard people say that Morning Joe is state media, I can't help but like it feels like it. Like when you look at it, you're like, oh my God, this is like flashy, like just and Misha is the daughter of an American diplomat. Mika. Well, Misha sounds better.
Taxes are obviously perhaps issue number one on the minds of many Americans, and Project 25 is very clear about what it wants to do. It essentially wants to restructure our tax system into only two tax brackets, 15% for those earning less than the Social Security maximum, which is, I think, about...
That's fucked up. Like, the lowest should be very low. Like, be less regressive with your tax structure. Like, I like it being simplified, not like that.
Yeah,
or do a flat tax. I like a flat tax.
$166,000 a year and 30% for those earning above. But that would radically change how much different Americans pay. It would actually increase the amount that people making less than $150,000, less than that cutoff, pay $1,000, $2,000, $2,500. They would pay more taxes, but people above the wealthy would
just be an average person looking at this screen and tell me that what you're looking at matches to what he's saying. It says $1.44 and $2.59. What the fuck does that mean? I can't track what they're visually saying and what they're saying out loud. Like this is
I didn't even notice that because I wasn't zoomed in, but yeah, I see it now.
Do you get what I'm saying though? Like
Yeah.
what he's talking about doesn't match what he's pointing at. And if it does, it's in a way that like big brain fucking like I'm not an idiot. Like I'm just saying like how is the average person tuning in being like, oh, I get it. Project 2025 is bad. This definitely counters that guy that yelled at me earlier and told me that I'm exaggerating things.
pay dramatically less.
But
you can't see the heading of this chart, so I don't know what the
cost of things for a family of four, I guess.
Less taxes. Project 2025 would do essentially would be to eliminate all of what the Biden administration did to cut the burden of student loans. And you can see here, this is broken down by education. And
another thing that touches the average voter, like, okay, yeah, I didn't rack up a bunch of debt off something that I expected to pay back. Like, don't get me wrong, the student loans is a predatory situation. I'm going to stick with that, but I have some revisions to it, but I won't burden the show with a prolonged elaboration to that thought.
It's Reagan's fault. We can just say that.
All right.
But all the way from some college.
Do you get what I mean, though? Like the average person's going to be like, sorry, I didn't go to school for free.
Yeah.
But no degree to master's program. And so in terms of the monthly student loan payments, for the people at the bottom, their monthly average student payments would go from $78 to $308. So a huge increase for those with very little college, people who don't probably have great jobs and for whom this is a big burden. And then smaller increases, but still substantial, all the way up to people who have master's degrees. So completely wiping out everything the Biden administration has done for the last 3.5 years.
For no reason other than I can't be what the previous administration liked, right? This is just like what he did with Obama, except like it's just he continues to have this, I hate anything the other guys did, therefore fuck you, even if it helps you.
Yeah, although this is, I mean, if it's Project 2025, it doesn't even necessarily have to be that. That is a true position of that organization, right?
Look, these are things that are outlined in there. These are
right.
These
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, whether or not Trump had a lot of input on that or not is unclear. But
oh, good point. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that he truly cared. Okay, good point. Okay, there was my TDS, right? Saying that it was Trump's ideas. No, it's the people steering his ship.
Yes.
Yeah, he just wants the power.
Yeah, he just wants the power.
Years. What Project 2025 wants to do is put limits on how long you can stay on Medicaid, effectively kick people off Medicaid, put in work requirements, put in a whole number of restrictions that would dramatically change the number of people who are on Medicaid. It's also a question politically.
You mean the unsolvent government program Medicaid?
Yeah, that one.
I mean, there might be a good reason to try to reform that in some way or the other.
I mean, clearly this guy isn't the guy you trot out at the rally. I understand what he's trying to say, but I don't know that he's connecting a lot of dots for people.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, NPR being racist about Republicans being racist.
Oh, fun.
Frederick. Well, I think one thing that certainly the Harris campaign can think about is whether or not there needs to be an additional speech beyond kind of the traditional speech that happens at the convention where the candidate really has an opportunity to introduce themselves, right? So she would need to do that multiple times. And certainly that's part of what was going on in Wisconsin this week.
What they're talking about is messaging is effective when it's repetitive and consistent, right?
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, she can have a good speech, but she needs to do that a lot in the ways that successful campaigns work. And to start that in August is tough.
I think another strategy that could be used is really think about surrogates. And this was something that the Obama campaign was quite successful at doing, having enough, frankly, white surrogates talk about the issue of race, talk about the ways in which, they knew it was going to come up and it needed to be addressed before it actually became an issue. But those, again, would need to be surrogates who don't necessarily look like her, right? They need to be surrogates who actually are able to call the question without being, kind of shrouded in the you're playing the race card or you're playing the gender card politics. Well,
Liberals just tiptoe around this. Like, we're talking about race, but I'm not racist.
It's interesting. So what she's saying essentially is that you have to have somebody get out there and pull the race card that isn't of that color. I
Yeah.
guess was what.
Can we talk about her color?
I mean, sure if you'd like.
Why is everybody saying she's black? Her mom's black, right?
Her dad's Jamaican.
Okay, her dad's Jamaican. Was her mom Indian? Who's Indian?
Her mom is, yeah.
Okay. So is it anybody who's got more melanin than me is black? Like, what's going on here?
I hate this conversation.
I 100% agree with you. We're in agreement here. I'm saying it's stupid, right? Like,
I don't.
Like, I long for a day where it doesn't matter. I know that we trotted out here for humorous effect, but we've got like the South Park mentality of like, we're picking on things. Please pick on me also. Like, I'm not mad about this stuff. Like it just feels like you're the one obsessed with race. Why are you still doing this? Right.
Yeah. I'm just always, so there is a, when somebody says, oh, well, when somebody calls into question somebody's racial identity, I kind of dislike that.
100%.
So if somebody's going to say, well, she's not black, well, what the fuck?
You
does it
mean when
matter
Joe Biden said, if you won't vote for me, you ain't
black? Yeah, I hated that too.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hate the conversation overall. I just don't like it.
It like, we can talk about this without you bringing that up.
Yes, it's
right?
not necessary
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, and it's not helping. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's not. Yeah.
I had a clip of Rachel Maddow being somewhat alarmist, but me agreeing with her and not
Ooh.
liking that I agree with her. Should I just move it to the other show? Because it's about 2025, and I feel like we've hit that enough. Like, I constantly want to push back on it because I had so many people telling me that I was being alarmist about Project 2025, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, dog. Like, I signed up on their website. I went through the application process.
Real shit there. Yeah.
Like, I you can't lie to me. I feel like the people that said that didn't even try to apply. It's like,
Right. You're gonna be the new well, I was gonna say you're gonna
Could've
be the new
been- I
Secretary of Education, but they're gonna eliminate
weaseled
that.
in. No, I'm not
department.
Betsy DeVos.
Right.
I'm not the heir of the Amway fortune, Alan.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you become
Unfortunately.
the head of education. All right. This could have gone down in best of the right or best of the Trump cult, but this is our election segment. We've got somehow less spicy stuff there. Well, spicy and different. It's different flavors. Spice has a whole spectrum.
Indeed.
Remember that porn channel, Spice?
I do.
Remember, it was always on the scrambled channel, and if you like change the channel really quick back and forth, it would come in like sort of clear before it would get to scrambled. No, hold on, can you explain scrambled to people?
So if you didn't pay for a channel when you would
Over
tune
the
to it,
air cable.
right?
Well,
when
that's
you
not
would
how cable works.
over the cable, when you would tune to that channel, if you didn't subscribe to it, it would be sort of pixelated essentially.
It would be like
Sometimes-
blurry with these wavy lines, like a
yeah, maybe you could get a little bit of sound occasionally and sort of
yeah. The
make
good
out
channels,
a shape.
were beaten off. You could still hear it.
Yes.
You're like, oh, I can say that. Guess what? I can guess what to that. Yeah. Yeah. But if you change the channel a bunch of times, you could sort of see the image, and it'd be these like neon blue tits, and you're like, oh, it's a nipple. So that came from me saying the word Spice Network.
Yes.
So this is, hey, wait, put your serious cap back on, Alan.
Yes, got it.
This clip matters, but this guy's cried wolf so many fucking times, and everybody's took the bait so many times. Nobody's wanted to run with this. This was the biggest fucking audio clip of the week, and people are scared to play it because they don't want to come across as alarmist.
And again, Christians, get out and vote.
Just
It's the first Trump clip we've played.
I think so.
Man, that really says a lot about what's happened with like the political discourse. That actually says a lot about Kamala's chances.
I
Like
think
this
so.
guy survives by sucking all the air out of the room.
Yeah, that's
And-
actually a good point.
Wow.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time.
Just this time.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
Did he say I'm not Christian?
No, he said
I love you.
All my Christians? Is that what he said?
I think he said I'm a Christian.
Okay.
Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not
He said it twice.
going to have to vote.
So this is where people that run around with their hair on fire lose their version of the narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the media has done their best to not fall for it on this one because they anticipated the reaction. You can call it a little bit of audience capture, like they know what their audience will say if they try to say this is Trump saying there won't be another election again. I'll do that. I'll do the legwork for you guys. I get it. You're saying it'll be so good in 4 years we'll have another Republican. You like, sure, maybe. Although, why would I assume that when you basically said you won't have to vote again? In the context of I'll only be a dictator on day one. Trust me, guys. Like this sounds like everything that we're saying the next Trump administration will do. They will create a scenario. Like, look, I'm not saying that you should like take that hook, line, and sinker. I'm saying if a candidate is telling you that, that should put them immediately on your shit list. Like if someone's telling you that, you should be like, you know what? I was kind of on board for this, but I don't know what the fuck that's about. I can't vote for this guy. Like
Yeah.
it's not Trump derangement syndrome to say that type of language scares me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to need elections anymore, folks. It's going to be great. You can chill. It's going to be fine. You can just take your November Tuesday off, relax, good times. Nothing to worry about here. Move along.
Get one more day at the lake before it turns into full on autumn. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't really have more to say on that.
I know. And I feel like we're also succumbing to that, right? Like he's sowed the field so well that you can't even criticize him for his most blatant form of we're not going to have elections.
Anti-democracy.
Yes. Yeah. But like that you feel that too, right? Am I making this up? Like
no, definitely.
you're almost like, I don't know how to tread into this minefield.
Yeah. Because you sound alarmist if you because he did sort of caveat and say because it'll be fixed so good, you won't have to worry.
Yeah, but
about
he's
it.
a master at saying things just right.
That's what he does. Yes.
This is a guy that doesn't have emails. He doesn't put things on paper for a reason.
Right. Doesn't. Yeah.
And that's what he says twice into a microphone.
Mm-hmm. You won't have to vote again. Don't worry about it. Just this one time. Oh, and Christians specifically, just
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. So like in the context of just realizing that like it's this far into the show and we're just now playing a Trump clip, we spent the last 5 years under the paradigm of Biden. 4 years, 5 years of like him being the candidate, right? Like being like, Jesus, all of 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 2020. I have trouble with zeros. So yeah, 5 years, right? The campaign year of 2020 and all of 20 through 24. Okay. 5 years. But 5 years ago, before it was like decided upon it being Biden, we were like, man, I've spent the last 4 years just ready to vote for anyone that's not Trump, kind of assuming it'd be Bernie. Like, I'd swallow that pill and be like, you know what? I don't like a lot of what he has to say, but I like that he believes what he's saying. He's not an empty suit for, the people that have bought him. And if they could buy him, they're socialists. What can they afford? It's not like it's a bunch of corporate backers.
Right.
I have other thoughts on that. I'm not that simple-minded, but still, like the one thing I liked about Bernie was that I felt like out of every candidate I've ever seen, he believed what he was saying. Whereas
there was conviction in his words. Yes.
Even when Trump believes what he's saying, it's because it's good for him to get power. Whereas with Bernie, maybe it was, but I don't think so. Not in the same sense. And I would hope that he got there and I could fight against all the shit I don't want from him. I don't think America was ready for what he wanted anyway. So I figured, cool.
Sure, there'll be
You know,
pushback.
tread water. At least you're someone with, convictions,
Right.
and comes across as a good person. But ever since Joe's been the pick, we've just lived within the paradigm of Joe. And we just got used to that. It became the milieu, if I'm using my French words appropriately. But we never wanted Joe, like, and for the first time, we've actually had a candidate come up that when Trump says, because like, remember, it was supposed to be like this. The campaign was supposed to go like this assuming Joe could get out and talk in front of a microphone. This campaign was supposed to go like this. Trump, once he got out of trial, was going to go back on the campaign, and he'd go back on the campaign and say crazy shit in front of a microphone that he wasn't doing the whole time he was on trial.
Right.
And we'd have all these sound clips of him calling Nikki Haley, Nancy Pelosi, and talking about sharks and electrocutions and, all the late, great Hannibal Lecter. And all you had to do was be a normal fucking person. But we didn't have that. We had Joe going up there and saying, I was in the foothills of the, and it was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like someone hands you a layup and you're just like dribbled it into your fucking crotch and then sat on it like an ostrich egg. And for the last couple of weeks, at least the last week, we've seen this.
Words for Donald Trump, who we all know is watching. So President Trump, you spent the last 2.5 years full-time trying to sow hate and division among us. And that is why we've got nothing done.
That's all. I mean, like, just for starters, like that's the minimum of what I was expecting, right?
Yeah.
Like just counter his bullshit with calling it out.
Yep.
You have used hate, intimidation, fear, and over 12,000 lies as a way to distract from your failed policies. And
even Joe at his best would do that like this. He's used hate, intimidation, lies, failed policies. Like like she's a better vessel. She is
100%.
I don't fucking like her.
I would also say, so 2021 Joe is definitely different from 2024 Joe, right? And there was an arc to this shit. But we've seriously seen his decline. I think the one thing that the debate really showed us was just how unable he was to
do what I was just saying.
Yep, to be competent at least just calling
because
out.
It should have been easy. The second worst debate performance of all time was Trump at that debate. And we were like, okay, Joe, here you go. And he goes, I have a better golf score than you. No, you don't. We all know you don't.
Which is exactly why I said, Kamala would wipe the floor with him in a debate, because she can do that. She can fucking just respond and be like, no, that's complete, utter bullshit. When she was asked about what she would do if, when Trump went behind Clinton weirdly at that debate during the 2016 election, and she was just like, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
She said, why are you being weird?
Yeah, which is like such.
They're trying so hard to make.
I know that, and they're
trying to make weird happen.
I can talk about that later when we get there. But
good, you'll get a chance to.
But I think that was just like a normal person reaction that Joe couldn't pull off.
It's relatable, right?
It's totally relatable.
Your broken promises. The only reason you've not been indicted is because there was a memo in the Department of Justice that says a sitting president cannot be charged with a crime. But here's what you don't get. What you don't get is that the American people are so much better than this. And we know that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us, regardless of our race, where we live, or the party with which we're registered to vote. And I plan on focusing on our common issues, our common hopes and desires, and in that way unifying our country, winning this election, and turning the page for America. And now, President Trump, you can go back to watching Fox News.
Isn't that something? That's that's what you want to see. You want to see some pugilistic behavior there, some punch
competent though, right?
Yeah,
like when Joe tried, it was just impotent.
It just didn't work. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I sincerely look forward to 4 years of ripping on her. Like I have nothing to be joyful about other than her saying the message I've been saying since Joe God damn it. Since Trump announced his candidacy, he's a divisive person. This is a process that's supposed to unite America. We're supposed to get behind our leader. We're supposed to hate our leader, but we're not supposed to be oppositional to them. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Like
We're supposed to
want
question the authority, but
yes. All right. We're about to go to half. This is a long first half. I didn't think this would be a
we
long
say that
show.
every week.
I didn't think this would be a long show. I'll skip this. I'll put this this will be in the hidden track for the
hidden track.
Yeah, Trump is trying to pull things off of the Michigan elections. No, I'll save it.
Okay.
I gotta find it. I got a lot of scroll through to get back to where I was. I will play this clip though until you tell me to stop, and then I'll play a wackadoo and we'll go to lunch.
Okay.
Thanks, Loadmaster. If you don't like this, blame him. I'll get the explosion ready.
C-O-C-O-N-U-T. You think you fell at a tree.
Already.
C-O-C-O-N-U-T.
God. That's really bad.
It's really bad. She couldn't even commit to it. By the end,
No.
she calmed down. It's pretty funny, actually. Yeah. All right. Coconut Girl Summer, Allen. Like, the memes are taking off. We covered that last week, and I feel like we got there before the rest of the media did, by the way.
Nice.
And I give Toaster credit for that rant I had. Toaster got upset. He was like, other people are saying this. I'm like, well, I talked about it on our show. That's probably where they heard it.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about some bullshit controversy before we go to lunch?
Sure.
So we talked about Olympics at the beginning.
It's about the
about
300,000 condoms.
This whole Last Supper thing and the drag queens. Are you familiar with that?
I don't know if I am.
So this is a guy making fun of it, and then there's a stitch incoming where the guy does the whole like I'm walking and talking and explaining things like how Zion does. Loadmaster sent this in. So part of the opening ceremonies was a wide angle shot with a bunch of drag queens in it that I don't think it's even questionable. It looks like the Last Supper. If we're going to start getting mad at people for sacrilegious reasons for mimicking the Last Supper, you're going to have to get mad at the Sopranos, the Simpsons. Like a lot of things have done this before.
Sure.
And I don't remember Christians being up in arms before that, but by God, the Olympics, of all sacred places, the Olympics, where Christian values need to be. Wait, you mean the Greeks? You mean the Greeks?
Right.
Go fuck yourself. They worship Zeus, a lightning god. All right. And by the way, nothing in this addresses the fact that one of these drag queens has their nuts hanging out. That doesn't even come up once in this video. All right. It also, spoiler alert for the clip I'm about to play. It wasn't the Last Supper. It was Dionysus, you uncultured swine.
The Olympics just create a parody of Jesus's Last Supper with drag queens.
All right, let's see it.
Well, that is the question being asked after last night's Olympic ceremony took place.
And you already answered your own question by showing that clip with that blue figure in front of the table. Who on earth do they represent in the painting The Last Supper? Nobody.
Remember that part in The Last Supper where there's that blue naked man underneath
with his balls hanging out?
Yeah, no, that's the guy with his balls hanging out.
Oh, okay.
That was in the background. He got away with she got away with having her balls out. I don't know what she prefers to go by, but I'm gonna go with she.
That's Dionysus. Even the actor who portrayed that character said, this is Dionysus. Even the Olympics said, this is Dionysus. This is an allusion to a painting that is housed in a church in France called the Feast of the Gods, which depicts Dionysus feasting in front of a table.
Maybe in this whole two-dimensional painting realm, you have to put all your subjects on one side of a painting.
Right, that's how that works.
The table, if you're going to have a feast. Of course, in reality, they'd be sitting on both sides. But if you're going to put it in a painting, you can have their backs to the painting. I can't believe I actually explained this to you.
Where there's a wedding feast going on, where Apollo is featured at the center of the table with a halo.
You're getting mad at the right pagan things. Like, yes, get mad at the fact that there's a cloven beast and Dionysus is a god of like debauchery and being drunk and all these things. But no, you're getting mad about the Last Supper because fucking have one thing that you ever think about, and you get mad at Starbucks, and you get mad at anybody that doesn't say Merry fucking Christmas to you. God forbid the fucking Olympics aren't Christian enough for you.
Below behind his head. The Olympics version has the person seated in the middle wearing a 7-pointed halo. That originates in Greek iconography that was borrowed into Christianity. That is associated with Apollo, with Helios, with Dionysus, with other deities that represent the sun or are merged with it. It has nothing to do with the Last Supper.
In a couple of the acts, some are claiming that religious imagery was used, like the golden calf.
That is not the golden calf. That is a statue called Bull and Deer. It was created by Paul Jouve in 1937 for a contest in France. It has been housed.
You know, the country where they're holding the Olympics. Again, just because you don't know anything doesn't mean you should get mad.
The Trocadero for many decades, and that temporary stage was built in the Trocadero around the statues that are there. It has absolutely nothing to do with worship or with the golden calf.
The fourth horseman.
See my video number McClellan 2175 for why it is monumentally stupid to think that horse represents any of
the fourth horseman. They said so there was a white horse, which if you remember your revelation, a pale horse, and atop it was death, and there was a black caped rider with a large shroud over their head, and they're saying it might have been Joan of Arc. Kind of looked like Joan of Arc's haircut with the way the shroud or the hood goes over the head. But anyways, no, why would you go with any of this French history when you could be mad?
The horsemen of the apocalypse.
And one scene in particular is being compared to Leonardo da Vinci's mural of Jesus and his 12 disciples. In the scene, broadcast cameras pan out on a number of drag queens standing behind a raised stage, with one in the middle wearing a piece on her head that is likened to religious drawings of a halo with lines of light emanating out of it. Some outraged with this scene said this is extremely disrespectful to Christians, and that the Olympics declared loudly that the 2.4 billion Christians on Earth are not welcome.
So the only thing being disrespected here is a competent grasp of culture.
Yes.
Because this outrage, whether it's real or feigned, is phenomenally hypocritical and misplaced, because this isn't about the Last Supper. But even if it were, there's nothing wrong with using imagery from a famous piece of art to offer some social commentary. As Jesus would have eaten with drag queens, they're allowed to say, hey, we have a seat at this table as well. And there would have been the same hypocrites out front gnashing their teeth at them the whole time too. And even if it is intended to be a critique or, heaven forbid, mockery, you don't get to spend so much time and effort trying to convince the world that everybody's part of a Christian culture, that Western civilization was built by Christianity, that is the foundation of our art and architecture and literature and law and everything, and then turn around and try to police who's allowed to critique it and which critiques are allowed. If they were born and raised in that culture, then that's their culture too. So, irrespective of what was intended here, trying to demonize and vilify these folks just so you can be persecuted, so you can feel like you're in the last days, so you can read yourself into the book of Revelation, is phenomenally harmful and hypocritical, and you need to do better. And the fit for this video has been
Wolverine. Okay. Man,
it's such utter bullshit, man. It's such utter bullshit. It's just,
please go off. I found myself, but hearing him ramble at the end there, I was like, oh, he's saying everything I'm upset about.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add other than that is just, finding a thing to be outraged by because you need a thing to be outraged by, and that's all that is rage clicks, right? That's what you're trying to get there. Also, just fun fact: Alexander the Great's mother, huge devotee of
Dionysus. Yeah.
Dionysus, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to get upset about anything, you talk about how that cult had some questionable things to do with children, but that you're getting into some great
wine.
history there. But maybe you would question a lot of other things, not. But that takes the attention away from what you're actually talking about, which is, oh, I'm being persecuted so bad. Oh gosh, it's just like I hate to be this simple with it, but it's just like white people in general acting like life's not easy for us. Like I say us to you. I'm sorry, you're some kind of shade of brown we can't determine. But like it's just I mean, your life has to be pretty fucking good that you're like questionably white, right? Like it's been pretty nice, right? Like being passable has been pretty beneficial for you, wouldn't you
Sure,
say?
sure. I have
Yeah.
semi-white privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
you're just like, no, but a specific part of it, like not Greek Christian. Ugh. I just it's a choice, right? Like it's a choice, and like you could just wake up tomorrow and not be upset, but you're gonna choose to.
Yep.
All right.
Rage for rage's sake.
That was supposed to be our wackadoo of the week, and I didn't get our clips ready. I'm sorry. Why don't I ask you a question and we'll go get a beer 2.5 hours into the fucking show. Who do you think Kamala's going to pick for her? But am I even saying it right? I think I have a clip in the second half where I don't know how to say Kamala. It's Kamala, right?
I think there's a question about which is it Kamala or Kamala?
I have a clip where they
which
say Donald
thing
Trump
you-
is saying it wrong, and then they play him saying it, and I swear it sounds like how they said it. This might
Yeah.
be a one.
It might be. Wolf.
Woof. Yeah. Okay. Who do you think she's going to pick for vice president?
I think her best pick would be Bashir. I would also go with.
It's not on the short list.
I think he is. No,
he wasn't initial.
Okay, and I think Buttigieg would be good too. But
You really think that trotting out a gay candidate on a woman vice president?
I know that's it's
just
probably not going to play well in certain places. I
that's
understand.
liberal fantasy land. Like I think
know.
that he is. Look, like that shouldn't matter because who he is as a politician is everything you'd want.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you listen to the New York Times interview with him?
I didn't get to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a clip from it that's going to make you want to listen to the whole thing. It's going to be
Okay.
on Wars.
Yeah, I think Bashir would be politically advantageous, though.
They seem to say it's between Josh Shapiro. And Mark.
I don't the astronaut dude.
See, the thing with the astronaut thing seems pretty good, honestly. Like
I don't know if it holds up.
So he'll get appointed. His replacement will get appointed. So they'll get a Democrat there. So they won't lose the Senate seat. What hold up?
The whole I don't know, mystique.
You think space is fake? He wasn't really in space.
No, mystique isn't the right word, but the whole like thing swirling around him being an astronaut that makes him cool. I don't know. So personally, I haven't
Saccharin?
seen.
You think it's like a little like too like flash in the pan?
Yeah, and I just haven't seen him like making the media circuits, and maybe it's just not in my
You're
circle.
right. Bashir, Shapiro,
Yep,
that
they're
guy
out
from
there.
Minnesota have been
Yeah.
doing a good job with their.
Yeah, I haven't seen that from him. So if you're just going to rely on him for whatever that celebrity status is that he brings because of being, an astronaut previously, I don't know. I mean, obviously Arizona is a state you'd love to win, but I don't know if he carries that. I don't know.
I have a recommendation for Kamala if she's listening.
Oh, do tell.
Tim Kaine.
Tim Kaine.
Who's Hillary's vice
This is
president?
the B-side of our platter, sports fans. And I'm singing just for you, covered in sequins.
In the canyons of your mind, I will wander through your brain to the ventricles of your heart, my dear. I'm in love with you again. Cross the mountains of your chest, I will stick a Union Jack to the forest of your cheek, through the holes in your string bag.
Hi.
Dude, I was hungry. I was like, I need a snack.
Dog, I got a bowl of food. I'm going to mute my microphone while I eat during the second half. Natasha also told me that I can't keep doing shows this long if we don't make more money off of it. And it got me very self-conscious. I was like, you think I'm not trying to make money off the show? Guys, sign up for the Patreon or Natasha's going to leave me. And then she said, you can't expect me to listen to it if it's going to be so long. And I was like,
"Aw,
I'm hurting right now. Honestly, I'm not doing
feel
good
it, man."
Yeah.
Well, I was like, why am I so hungry? Like, oh shit, it's 8:00. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry for
It's
that.
all right. It's all right. We're
I
here.
normally like to be done by now.
Yeah. The other half.
I put this in as a second half question to ask you to come back with. This feels a little heavy. I don't know, who cares? Does Biden dropping out contrast to Trump not being willing to let go of office?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, I guess that was self-evident in the question, wasn't it?
You're not the first person to point that out. I think that.
Oh, really? I
for-
like to think I am, Alan. I've never been something like that. How dare you?
Yeah, that's it's pretty obvious to. I mean, and I think Biden did it for lots of reasons. He wasn't just doing it because he was like, "Oh, I have a chance to be a hero here."
Of course,
but at the end of
that's
the
why
day,
he waited so long.
right? But at the end of the day, he did what needed to be done for the betterment of his country, and Trump refuses to do that and step out of the way, or
Well, that
even
is
accept the result
that
on
is kind of interesting, right? How like the guy that beat the guy that wouldn't leave office is leaving office.
Right. Yes, it's pretty stark contrast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'll ask you a funny question next week when we come back. I think it's better when I ask a funny question.
Okay. All right.
Let's you know what though? That'll ease us into something that's a little less ha 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 ha. Other than the fact that I can't believe these people believe bullshit like this. We like to play these clips of the most, let's say, bad examples of MAGA stand.
Yeah, when you start late term aborting children or aborting them after they've been born, that's nuts.
Aborting them after they've been born?
Yes.
You think that's happening?
It is. It does.
I don't think that's happening.
Well,
aborting children after they're born wouldn't be called abortion, though, right?
Well, they still call it abortion.
What would they? That would be called murder.
Well, not according to the left.
I don't think that abortions are happening after babies are born.
Why don't you look into it? That's the whole thing. You have to study out the issues and see what's really happening.
Could I ask where you read it?
You see a lot of propaganda, and it's getting harder and harder with AI for you to be able to determine what's true and what's not.
I agree.
And it's going to get a lot harder.
It's weird for him.
Do you think that what you read could have been propaganda?
Not if you study the facts out. Yeah, when you start late.
But Trump has said that into a microphone. He said that that's happening. And
We have talked about it on this
Yes.
show. And then Trump said it in the debate. And I said, yeah, it happens. And you said, what do you mean? And you forgot that we had talked about it on the show. Because what is the reality that Trump is misphrasing?
So if a baby is born in a non-viable condition, essentially the baby's going to die, within hours or whatever the case.
Palliative care.
Right. So if that's going to happen and the baby's just going to suffer for however many hours until it actually passes, then, you don't want that to happen. And so the human thing to do is to end that suffering.
And they're like, and this all comes down to the former governor of Virginia in a debate with not Dwight Yoakam, Youngkin.
Glenn Youngkin, yes.
Yeah, when Glenn Youngkin won, one of the debates that governor lost was he was saying like, oh yeah, well yes, we need to maintain the ability to. He was basically saying if you get rid of abortion access, you'll get rid of hospitals having the ability to give palliative care. Something nobody wants to fucking talk about, right?
Of course.
Like nobody wants to sit here and have a conversation about something so horrific as going full term and finding out that your baby's going to die in a matter of days or hours. And the best thing you can do for that child is to give them a humane death. I don't want to talk about that. I, in fact, am upset that this is the third or fourth or fifth time we've talked about this on the show. But people keep forgetting that when they say bullshit that gets you in the heart, such as post-birth abortions, there is a reality to that, and you want that available unless you're a monster and you want babies to suffer.
And somebody has to come out and counter that narrative. It's not a thing you want to talk about, but somebody has to do it.
Right. All right, let's get into a little bit more of the yucks, because the primary objective is to always be funny.
Look, I love my.
Let's get this is my favorite clip of the week of JD Vance. By the way,
JP Mandel.
Sorry, JP. What? Hold on. What is it? Is it JP Mandel?
Boys who got good grades
Oh,
were
that's not it.
sissies or faggots.
I got it wrong. I'm sorry. It was the wrong clip.
JP, right? JD Mandel.
I should really put them next to each other. I see JD on one, and I just hit that is that one. Why does he wear so much eyeshadow? You know what? I'm just talking about eyeshadow. To go back to that first clip, he must have got good grades. Here he is wearing eyeshadow on Fox or something. Talking to Megyn Kelly about his wife's shortcomings.
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been.
Jesus Christ.
It's a weird thing to say, right? Like, does the rest of the sentence matter? Like,
I don't think so.
Like I would never in 1,000 years be like, all right, so like, here's a bunch of people that are racist and talk about my wife, and I'll start it off with the thing they're mad about before I defend. Like, because it's in the context of saying that there's white supremacists that are mad about it, which you're only addressing that's part of your fan base, you dipshit. Like,
who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been attacked by some white supremacists over that. But I love Usha.
Yeah, it's weird though. Like nobody's saying anything about the white supremacists attacking Kamala Harris for being brown and black. Like no, because
obviously she's not a white person, but I don't hold that against her. It's totally fine.
Her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Trump must be so happy he picked. Yeah,
thrilled.
That's not honestly. I mean, that's my favorite clip of him from the last week. But this old clip came up. You've probably heard it in the meantime between the times we've done this show. But I want to talk about it a little bit because it's kind of been like in and out of the cycle. And I think the way it went out of the cycle is as important as how it came in. So let's play the context.
Saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs.
So this is the clip. This is an old clip, as you can tell, because Tucker Carlson is still on TV. This is before he lost. This is before his news agency he worked for lost their lawsuit, Dominion where he was saying that his producer was a cunt. Because remember, he didn't lose it because of anything else other than in the course of the lawsuit, it came out that he'd been bad talking his producers.
Right. By a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
So this is in the context of wanting to see reduced taxes for people with kids. We talk about Peter Zion and the demographic inversion, how, if you're going to have a tax base that funds your society, that means you have to continue to have children. When we talk about this on our show, we talk about how the millennial generation in America is unique. Everywhere else in the world had a baby boom after World War II. Baby boomers had Gen X. Gen X had kids a little less so than a baby boom, and millennials are let me say this right. Across the rest of the world, the millennial generation did not spike as high as it did in America. So we have a chance in America, if millennials have children, to maintain the demographic base that has allowed our tax system to fund all of our wars and our massive government.
To avoid demographic collapse, as we're likely to see in places like China, Japan.
So to address that, government can incentivize childbirth.
That's weird. We should not have let that child tax care.
Well, it's funny you say that you're getting ahead just a little.
It's a sarcastic comment. There's
him doubling down. That was an old clip. This is him this week because it resurfaced. and he's saying, well, it was a sarcastic comment. They should have played the full context. You know what's funny? Well, let me play this.
Nothing against cats. I've got nothing against dogs. I've got one dog at home and I love him, Megan. But look, this is not, people are focusing so much on the sarcasm and not on the substance of what I actually said. And the substance of what I said, Megan, I'm sorry, it's true. It was a sarcastic comment.
I saw clips of this going around where they played the full context of the clip and said that the liberal media is doing a bad job promoting this because they won't play the full context. And then you watch the full context of what he was saying on Tucker 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And it was, of course, there are people who can't have kids, or there are people who haven't found the right person yet. Let's set that aside and talk about how we want to incentivize people. You can't set that aside and say you're going to have a government program to incentivize children unless you're implying that you're going to go door to door and ask, hey, are you guys trying in there? Let me see you trying. Let's see what's happening when you try. Oh, maybe you're doing it wrong. Oh, wrong hole. Yeah, totally not going to work that way. Like, what do you mean by set that aside, right? How do you set aside? How are you going to prove whether someone's sterile or infertile? What do you mean by set that aside? So let's just give everybody on the right that wants to say this wasn't a crazy thing for him to say the benefit of the doubt. And let's entertain that. There is no, it only looks worse when you take the full context of that clip. When you take in the full context, you're like, so we're just going to set that aside. No, you can't set that aside. So let's go back to what he said. I think that we're being run by a bunch of crazy cat ladies and childless people. Some of my best friends are childless. I happen to be child free by choice. Like it's, my aunt and uncle are some of the greatest influence on my life, and they happen to not have kids. I don't think that we need to create a whole culture war about child free people.
Well, so he says they're not addressing the substance of my comments. So here, let's do that. So what he really said was, all these people in power don't have a stake in this country's future if they don't have children, which is complete and utter bullshit, because maybe they don't have kids, but they certainly have friends. They have family. They
What do you
maybe
think? I'm a fucking psycho, right? Like I just, yeah.
Right. So they do have a stake in the future of this
It
country.
almost tells you a little bit about the way he sees the world to think that, like,
and so here's where I think that line that Kamala sort of ran into, the whole they represent the past and we represent the future. What he's really saying is, I would prefer it to be more Mad Men generation, right? Where the white men with power made this country great, and that's what we need to go back to. That's what he's really, that's the underlying message of what he's saying, and it's complete and utter bullshit, and it's obvious.
it wouldn't be Mad Men if it weren't Madison Avenue, and it was only Madison Avenue because of that story I told a couple weeks ago about how they named it after Madison Square Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You mean that? I don't know. I don't mean to undermine you. Like that feels. Go on a little bit more about that then.
Well, because he's saying we have these crazy cat ladies in power. They don't have kids. They don't have any stake in the future of this country. We need to go back to where people in power did have a stake in the future of this country, which is like this whole, his idea, his concept of what a nuclear family is supposed to be, what an American family is supposed to look like.
I don't think he was talking about only people in power, though, being like that.
That's what he said, though.
You're right. He said the people in power are a bunch of crazy cat ladies.
Right.
Great. You know what? Let's go to the substance of what you're saying. If you're saying we're taking you out of context, you know what?
I mean, if that's what he wants to say, like go to the substance. Okay, well, that's what you said.
Yeah.
So I can draw conclusions from that. That's
no, fair.
I'm going to say on this thread, I think a lot of parents and a lot of non-parents look at our public policy over the last 4 years and ask, how did we get to this place? How did we get to a place where Kamala Harris is calling for an end to the child tax credit? Another thing I'm going to say on this thread, I think
so Kamala Harris was not calling for an end.
I was going to say, I don't think that happened.
And if you've listened to None Taken since its inception, you can remember me motherfucking the child tax credit.
I do.
Because I remember being pissed off that people that chose to have kids or had kids by accident or whatever led them to having children allowed them to get an extra $400 a month. I didn't care for that at all.
I remember having that debate on the show.
Yep. Yeah. And guess who tanked the renewal? So they got the child tax credit passed during COVID to help parents out. And they passed it as a 1-year bill. And when it passed on the show, I said, you bet your bottom dollar when this 1 year expires, Democrats are
keep going. I
going to get
remember.
this.
Yeah.
And then it came back up again for renewal. And I said, how has it been a year already? These motherfuckers are trying to pass this through. And we argued about that.
Yep.
And guess who stopped it from passing through? Republicans.
Do tell. Yeah.
Republicans, not Kamala Harris.
No, definitely not. Unbelievable. Oh man, sometimes the absurdity of it all just, it's difficult to parse.
It's also not fair to call her childless.
No,
she's
she
not
has
childless.
2 stepchildren.
She's not the mom. She's not a stepmom. She's the mom that stepped up, Alan.
Right. It's even like her husband's ex even came out and said, like, look, she's been a great stepmom to my children. She's part of the family. And having dealt with that sort of situation previously, like, that's a pretty big deal for somebody to come out and say that.
Yeah, I appreciate the way you're saying that too.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not going to listen to stuff like this coming from a guy that fucked a couch.
Wait, I don't think that's. I think that story isn't exactly true.
Who cares, Alan?
I know it's funny, but
I give a fuck. Like,
no, it's very funny.
Are you saying that he got Richard Geared?
Plus, we have him on tape on his own audiobook saying, some pretty terrible shit.
Other things like
boys who got good grades were sissies or faggots.
So the rumor was that in his book he said that he fucked a latex glove between couch cushions.
Right.
Which reminds me of a clip from UHF. Do you remember the Weird Al movie?
Of course.
UHF?
Yeah.
The movie's filled with cutaways, way before Family Guy or anything like that became in vogue.
George Newman. He starts where the others stop.
Sex with furniture. What do you think?
Dude, I remember watching that movie on videotape. Like that.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the best. I love that.
Do you remember the karate instructor in the place above him? He keeps kicking the kids out the window and he goes, "They're so stupid! Stupid! You found the penny in the you get a year supply. You found the penny in the Oreo and the oatmeal. You get to drink out of the fire hose. You want a year supply of Red Snapper? You remember the Red Snapper?
I do remember that.
Dude, all these memes went around about him fucking that sofa.
Yeah.
But none of these meme lords made a connection to Big Mouth, where there was literally a guy named Jay who was. Did you watch Big Mouth on Netflix?
No.
So one of the characters, it was a cartoon show about going through puberty, basically, right?
Okay.
There's adult humor, but centered around that. And one of the characters was fucking a couch cushion because
there was no apple pie around.
Okay, you just don't write it down.
Terrain ass.
Who are you?
I'm Brad. You're Jay, right? You look nice, bro. So fit, Mr. Perfect. You exercise?
I mean, I jump on the trampoline in my backyard.
Hell yeah, you do. I bet you have the best body in your grade.
I don't know exactly. Wait, what do you want, Brad?
Oh, what do you think I want, bro?
That's just JP Mandel talking to his sofa. Wow. Yeah, I think I did have a clip kind of questioning whether that was true or not, because WAPO put up oh, you know what? It's in the culture war. We'll put a finger in that. Wait,
hey now.
We'll put a finger in that. But let's talk about JD some more with some things that have some verifiable proof. This is him talking about having a federal response. So what's Trump's thing whenever anybody says like they want an abortion ban, they want a national abortion ban?
We'll let the
Trump's
states
like,
decide. We'll send it
I
back
just
to
want to
the
let the states decide. Well, his vice president says,
Let's say Roe versus Wade is overruled. Ohio bans abortion, in 2022 or 2024. And then, every day George Soros sends a 747 to Columbus to load up disproportionately black women to get them to go have abortions in California.
So many layers to this. Like,
yeah. I don't know why you had to bring George Soros into it.
I don't either.
Yeah, it fits with that whole globalist thing.
About to say a bunch of personal stories I don't want to share, but they didn't.
And of course, the left will celebrate this as a victory for diversity.
That's kind of creepy, right?
Health justice is when we exterminate
That's right,
working
yeah.
class black people. Yeah.
Something really,
exactly.
something like that could, I mean, that would be a
The
really
equity.
weird turn of events that could happen,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's like, if that happens, do you need some federal response to prevent it from happening? Because it's really creepy. And, you know, I'm pretty sympathetic to that actual situation. Let's say
What's creepy is the federal government getting in and saying that you can't cross a state line to get a medical procedure.
That's pretty
You
fucking
see
creepy.
yourself. Yeah. Loadmaster sent this one in. This was this was an early addition to the show sheet. This was just when I was building the show sheet and I said, oh, that goes in the MAGA segment. This is a guy going up to the a Trump rally. So he's basically like audio doxing it, just like, I'll make this intolerable for you to be in. What's that called? That's not doxing. That's not doxing. He's taking over it in a way that at first is appealing to them. Okay, I won't spoil it. You know the My Sweet Lord, the George George, not George Michael, George Harrison song. My Sweet.
Oh, it's not presenting. It's not presenting.
It's not presenting.
It's not.
So they have to hear this twice because they could hear the audio. All right, we'll start it over.
Okay.
Sweet Trump, ooh my Trump, I really want to feel you.
Start off liking it.
Really want to fly with you. Want to fly with you on the Jeffrey Epstein plane, my Trump. I want to fly on the Lolita Express with Trump. I want to put ketchup on his ear. It was ketchup. We all know that, right? Put ketchup on his ear. No, I'm going all day. Ketchup on his ear. Don't touch me. That's assault. Hang out with underage girls with Trump. Freedom of speech, brother. Remember, no political violence. I want to get on the Lolita Express with Trump. Hell yeah.
Don't say that.
Where's everybody going? We'll be here all day. Trump wants to date his daughter. My sweet Trump.
That's pretty funny.
So that reminds me that George Harrison had to pay royalties to the Chiffons for He's So Fine. He's
Really?
so fine. Do you hear it?
Yeah.
I never noticed that. Thrash sent me a whole video about that. I was going to play it on the show. I meant to add it to the segment, but that would have been too long of a show. And he had all the money in the world, so he could. But
yeah, of course.
here's a typical Magastani. Loadmaster sent this in. This is a woman at a Costco.
Aliens were already here in the tunnels, and they've been eating our kids for like, the Rothschilds have been feeding them. You know, they kidnap the kids and they feed it to them.
Do you think that they take like the fetuses from Planned Parenthood and like feed it to the aliens?
They love babies.
Jesus Christ. But Captain Thor has that under control.
Commander Thor.
Commander, I'm sorry.
I mean, there's so much to tell you that it's
Correct
just like...
Commander Thor, not
I can just show you something real quick.
And he's from beyond the ice wall.
Yes.
So where did we get this lie that the earth is round? Like, who even started that?
It started up in 1900s, and it was the Rothschilds and Rockefellers.
Mm.
They lied to you about everything. Everything you've ever learned in school is all a big, fat, huge lie.
And where do you learn everything? Like, how'd you figure out all this information? Because I'd never even heard about Commander Thor.
Well, because I've been on True Social. And I found out before I was on True Social because I just happened to find it on Telegram. And then I was on Parler. Alien.
That's like a wet dream of somebody who wants to catch everybody on their bullshit, though, right? It went from True Social to Telegram to Parler.
Right.
But I mean, that is the flow of easily manipulated people. Not I'm joking to say it's a typical Magastani, but like it's definitely the way that the weak-minded be captured, right?
Sure. And also, anytime you hear the Rothschilds, George Soros in a sentence like that, it's just like, okay, I know where this is going.
I know what you're thinking, Alan.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So, like the Alex Jones crowd loves to reference those names and just call them populists because it's sort of like code language for what they really are thinking or want to say.
Yeah.
And so anytime you hear that, you kind of know what's happening here.
Yeah. Yep. Let's move on to a clip from a Trump rally where he basically does an ad for Kamala Harris.
And then their campaign says, I'm the prosecutor and he is the convicted felon.
I'm Kamala Harris and I approve this message.
I know we haven't gotten to the weird thing yet, but I'm just going to say it right here. I think that the best course of action for her campaign would be not to lean into like the whole weird stuff and just let him say the shit he's going to say and highlight it. You don't need to like Pokemon go to the polls. Just fucking normal person. And then just be like, hey, look at that. And you don't have to say anything else. That's enough. Just fucking do that. That's a winning strategy.
When you say the weird thing, you're not saying the meme where it's like say the weird thing. You're talking.
No,
about
I'm saying we're gonna get to.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about weird.
Yeah.
The word weird, right?
Yes.
A little bit more from Trump before we get out of the MAGA stand segment.
Countries are taking their criminal elements and they're bringing them into the United States of America and they're dumping them we're a dumping ground. We're a stupid country that's run by stupid people.
And you want to be my latex salesman.
God damn it. Again,
just imagine running for a job and being like, well, we're a stupid place. And we're ran by stupid people.
I would take that clip and do the exact same thing that was done with the previous clip.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm Kamala Harris running for president. And I approve this message.
Yeah. Well, this is him saying World War III is going to start, but I already kind of made that joke, so I guess we can move on. Okay, let's get into some of the best of the right. This is Fox News. So this is just the framing of this is like 2 weeks ago, LOL, Biden's old. And now they're like, I don't know why does the left always want to talk about age?
Memo basically goes out that says Trump is now the oldest nominee in history. And it's so incredibly ridiculous because they actually seem to believe cutesy ridiculousness like that might work.
They are shackled to this cognitively declined old man.
Biden's age is cognitive decline. He's a political relic.
It is prudent that you do a comprehensive cognitive evaluation because
he's obsessed with the age now.
Well, so it does seem like hubris to imagine that your audience won't remember what you said 2 weeks ago. And I think it is. And I think that there are viewers of that will realize, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. But there's also a large portion that won't. They're just going to move on. It's the same thing with Alex Jones's audience. The same thing.
Yeah. No, good point. I have a clip I was going to play, but it got pulled. It was it was somebody on Fox or a Republican saying that Kamala went and talked at a colored sorority. And my commentary was going to be, I believe the racists on the left prefer to call it a sorority of color. Am I right, Alan? They said it wrong, right? It's not a colored.
It's the wrong order.
As long as you rearrange the words, it's fine. Didn't we learn anything from unhoused instead of homeless? It's a sorority of colored. You can't say colored sorority. Are you mad at me? Like
no, it's just I didn't
choose to say this. I'm commenting on what they said.
The Underworld podcast just had a show about South Africa, and they use the term colored. They use the term colored there very differently. It just means somebody of mixed race. And so when they brought it up, it even kind of got awkward on their show. And they're like, I understand the context that has in our civilization, but it's different there. They had to explain it. That's what I was thinking.
I go back to it all the time. I had that sociology.
Oh yeah.
It was like, look, these are all just the reason in America people get mad is because generationally they became replacements for the N-word. And you can say in the 90s we were like, I don't even feel comfortable saying black, and so we started saying African American, and then now they went back. Then once they started rolling back and saying colored, which was not okay, so you said black instead of that, and then you said African American. Then I feel like everybody just paused for a second and went, look, if we're saying white, we can say black,
right?
We say brown, and it's fucking okay.
Yeah,
and like
admit there's colors.
Yeah, and it's just fine. Like just colored people, like you by all means, whatever makes you feel most comfortable, and especially be comfortable to the audience that you're speaking to, that you're not being offensive to them. But like, just these leaps and bounds people go through to try to just say the right word instead of just communicating. It just gets in the way of communication, right?
And often it sets progress back as opposed
Yes.
to moving it forward.
Yes. That was kind of what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
I called this the original Hawk Tuah girl. Oh, this is this guy, Alex Lacey. Oh, God. Okay.
Oh, it's not up.
Of the party here, and so the future looks kind of dim for the Democrats here, but this is no shocker either. Kamala Harris, she's the original Hawk Tuah girl. That's the way she got where she is, and the party's going downhill if it's in her hands.
That was tough.
Listen, Fox Business did not stand for that. Listen,
That was harsh.
There's the
that's the best you're going to get from them.
Jesus Christ. I think that clip stands for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stay classy, Fox Business, and you stay classy, New Mexico.
Oh,
we played this lady before with her other. She. It's the same joke she's made each time. She's always like America and JD Vance language.
Republicans are full of guns, food, and ammunition. And these Democrats are full of gay shit, pronouns, and even more gay shit. Let's make America great again.
She always does these videos while she's running and saying shit like that.
With
Also,
Kendrick Lamar playing in the
I
background.
say it, Alan. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They're not like us. Come on, man.
It pisses me off so much how often it took white people like 3 months to settle down and be
To
like, "Oh,
appropriate.
I like the song. Let's appropriate the they not like
Jesus
us." Like,
fucking Christ.
oh my
It's
God.
antithetical to the whole message of that song.
Go off, Alan.
I don't have more in me.
All
It's,
right.
it's been we're
It's a long
Yeah.
show. I get you. You're hungry. Did you have a bite to eat?
I had a piece of cheese.
Oh, you had a piece of cheese. Okay, I'll keep sprinting through the second half here.
No, we're good.
Let's do a little bit more Fox News. So, Fox News had Pete Buttigieg on and tried to slip one past the goalie, but it didn't work. I'm trying to get Pete Buttigieg as a new nickname as America's goalie. Do you think it's happening?
I like
of how he was doing. We're all aware of how he's doing. Our country has watched our president lead. And yes, we've also seen the fact that he's 10 years older than he was 10 years ago. But unlike Republicans, right, who in Trump's personality cult will take a look at Donald Trump and say he's perfectly fine, even though he seemed unable to tell the difference between Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi, even though he's rambling about electrocuting sharks and Hannibal Lecter, even though he is clearly older and stranger than he was when America first got to know him. They say he's strong as an ox, leaps tall buildings in a single bound. Well, we don't have that kind of warped reality on our side. Well, voters- on the contrary, the president confronted that
I like the way he doesn't let her interrupt.
I do. I like it too, yeah.
reality in what must have been one of the most difficult decisions for an American president to make ever. And he did something that I don't think Donald Trump could even conceive of doing, which is putting his own interests aside for the country.
Well, voters have said that they are much less aware of how he was.
Going back to before when we were talking about what vice president would win out. I mean, in terms of a candidate, he's perfect. Other than
he's amazing.
Americans aren't okay with electing a gay vice president with a female president. Like it's just mathematically not going to happen. But like he says everything right. He does it in a way that is truly not offensive to you. You are only going to be mad when you go, "Oh, I don't like gays though."
Right. No, there's a clip of
I
him.
want to play tummy sticks.
Let's play tummy sticks.
What's tummy sticks? I don't want to play tummy sticks. There's a clip of him responding to the whole cat lady comment about, that they don't have kids and so they have no stake in the future. And his response is just like, I wish you could just come over and see my family, see me come home from work and try to feed the kids.
That's fucking
something
perfect.
that they'll eat. And it was just like so human and genuine. It was like, God damn it, dude. Like that's the perfect response to that accusation. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have America. Then you have Joe Kennedy saying,
Many Americans think that the vice president is a little bit of a ding-dong. That she's not serious.
This ding-dong senator has risen in the polls.
I put some lube on and got him on his knees.
that's Joe Kennedy also. That's one of 8 clips I have of him. It was the first one I could find.
Yeah, that fits, I think.
It is kind of funny to say that they think she's a ding dong.
Many Americans think that the vice president is a little bit of a ding-dong.
Yeah, I do. You know what? If you're telling me I have to choose between a ding dong and Donald Trump, they're really not saying a lot about Trump that it's a question. Like,
I'll take the ding dong 10 times out of 10.
oh, James. Let's get into best of the left. Here's a little bit of a inspirational, motivational quotes from Kamala.
Today is today. And yesterday was today, yesterday.
They slowed it down.
Tomorrow will be today,
They slowed it down.
They've definitely slowed it down, yeah.
tomorrow. So live today. So the future today will be as the past today, as it is tomorrow.
Still a real quote, though.
I think maybe she should avoid like temporal conversation. Maybe that would be best.
That might be best to avoid, yes.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to a lot of the NPR podcasts in the morning, and they've had some. What's that?
Sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
almost messed up the sheet.
Oh no, you're good.
I fixed it.
Okay, good. They have two things this morning they wanted us to know about Donald Trump, and those two things are.
President Donald Trump is trying to reclaim the spotlight. In recent days, he told a gathering of Christian voters that if they just support him one time, he would have things, quote, fixed, so they, quote, won't have to vote anymore.
That's important, right? Like,
yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, so hey, if you're just tuning in, this is their Up First podcast. This is their morning news podcast. Right. So letting you know, he told a bunch of Christians that, people just vote for me once, you won't have to vote for me again, which these evangelicals, they work so hard. They'd love to take a break on one of these elections, right? They've been elections for a quarter century at least.
Take a little time off.
Yeah, I can understand trying to appeal.
Ever since Bush, they've been.
Yep, that's where I was going with that. So we got that. So two things that are important and back to back. Like I'm going to back it up just a little bit so you hear this is not divided. I didn't split this up. These are two things back to back.
To vote anymore. He also attacked his new opponent, whose name is pronounced Kamala.
If a crazy liberal like Kamala Harris gets.
So there's like two things that are very important right now. He is going to ensure that you won't have to have another election once he's in office. And he says Kamala's name wrong.
Yeah, those things. That's quite
equally important. We need to make sure that they're listening.
It's not exactly on the same level of the spectrum, I would say.
Huh?
So it is very much just a little bit of an accent change, right?
Dude, I swear I'm saying it the way they're saying is wrong, and I'm not trying to say it wrong. I think that language police worked so well for the Democrats in 2016. I definitely understand why they went back to it for this election. Like,
yeah, you know what?
They took a little break on this whole language police bullshit, and then they're like, we got one female candidate for a week, and they've gone right back on that tip. Like, oh my God, can you believe they say this wrong and that wrong? And oh, well, you're not really supposed to say that. Just like. Yeah, way to scare off any moderates, anybody who's independent.
Yeah,
might
doesn't
be
really
willing
play
to
that
come
well.
around to you, because that's the type of shit that's like, I can't be associated with people that fucking act like you. Like you might look. I don't think that should sway the way you vote, but I don't think you should tempt that. Like I don't think you should wade into that water while you're trying to be palatable to a broad swath of the electorate.
There's no point to that narrative at all.
What are you going to win when you get them to say the word right?
Yeah, that's not.
Is that what you mean by that?
Exactly. I mean, so it'd be one thing if it was obviously intentional that somebody's saying
or important,
right? Saying somebody's name incorrectly because they have an agenda to do that. That doesn't seem to be the case here.
Yeah,
so
what's your agenda to say Kamala? I don't even say that's the wrong way is to say
that's
Kamala.
the wrong. Right.
I say Kamala.
Kamala.
And they're saying it's
Kamala.
What?
I think it's.
Yeah,
I can hear it.
I can't even keep insisting on this being important.
It's not.
Okay, well, I hope they stop because they're going to lose a lot of people. Yeah. Do you remember when, however you want to say it, said this?
Know about this population, 18 through 24. They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories, and they have a resident assistant.
We played this.
They make really bad decisions.
Yeah, you know what? The good thing is, so that's another thing. So people keep talking about how this is clicking with Gen Z and stuff like that. It's like they don't vote. Why? What's your fucking point? You need the old people to like you because they show up to the elections.
Reliably, yes.
Reliably, I should say. Yeah. I couldn't believe this. This blew my mind. What she said. She went on Charlemagne's podcast, Charlemagne's
God.
morning show, and said this.
What's your favorite movie?
Cardi B.
Kamala Harris broke the state record for incarcerating black males.
Well, let's not buy into the myth that black folks don't love sitting in jail.
Weren't your parents civil rights activists?
I don't know, but let me tell you what I will do when I am elected president of the United States. I will kill brown babies, put people in jail, and legalize drunk driving. How about that?
Why? Like,
Shut
up.
What's your favorite?
I didn't mean to cut off the shut up at the end.
My favorite movie is also Cardi B. Yeah.
What's your favorite movie, Cardi B? I still feel like I did it better. Let me play it one more time because it makes me happy.
Let me tell you what I will do when I am elected president of the United States. I will legalize drunk driving. How
People will say that's been edited, but I'll defend myself.
You're gonna defend your
I
honor.
found that on the internet and I shared it.
Totally. Yeah.
Do you want to hear something Charlemagne really said? Because that was
Sure.
all. None of that was real. Just in case the AI is trying to. Oh my God, how's this show this long? Here's Charlemagne.
Everyone needs to tamper down on the rhetoric. Who is everyone? I only see one person that needs to tamper down on the rhetoric. When his now running mate, J.D. Vance, says Democrats are the reason that Donald Trump got shot at because of their dangerous rhetoric. Really, J.D.? You called Donald Trump Hitler.
Yeah.
You did. How can you go from Hitler to Hawk Tour? This motherfucker J.D. Vance went from Hitler to being on stage giving Donald Trump the Hawk Tour. That's why they call it a full-throated endorsement. That's what they call it. They call it a full-throated endorsement for a reason. Because you gotta basket weave that shit and Hawk Tour. Spit on that thing. That's I heard House Speaker Mike Johnson say.
Did you see his hand movements, Alan?
I did. I noticed that. I do have to say, I said the front half of that. I said the same thing on the show like a week or two.
You did. Yeah, you did.
I didn't bring in the Hawk 2 apart, but
no, yeah, and that's why he's Charlemagne.
That's why he's the god. You know, that's why. Yeah.
Here's a little bit of Kamalaism. I don't want to go this far into the show and not balance it out with some criticism of her. She deserves it. Like I said, though, I genuinely like I hate to get all annoying and talk about philosophy, but I was deeply inspired by Simone Weil because I was the type of person that voted third party and said all, either don't vote, things like that. And I sincerely meant that. So like, I understand people that still feel that way. But once I read Simone Weil talking about how like voting for the lesser of two evils means you have to hold that evil accountable once you've put them in power.
Right.
That's actually an effective version of fighting against the system. And just throwing your vote at someone else or not voting while sending a message doesn't give you the same mandate that you get when you say, I voted for you so I could be fucking mad at you, so I could demand you to represent me better.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Here's Kamala.
I heard a word I'd never heard before. I was told I was unbankable. I heard a word
Sorry, maybe that wasn't the exclamation point at the end of that rant that you were expecting, but I just think that's just like that encapsulates why people think that she's not a serious person. But then she gave that speech earlier today where it's like, okay, well, that's a fucking leader.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that her 2020 campaign was not great. I think that she definitely had some stumbles along the way. I think
she buried Biden. I don't know how he fucking got out of that.
Yeah. I think that her visibility as a VP wasn't as good as it could have been, partially because Biden always planned.
Well, there's the Hatch Act, right? Like you're not allowed to campaign
Well, also because the Biden wasn't particularly interested in showcasing her as his successor, and so it didn't happen. And now I think we're sort of seeing her step into her own, and she seems to have, I don't know if you want to call it matured politically or found her ground or her bearings, but it's we're only a week.
I'm impressed, and it's unexpected the way going back to that Israel speech that she did after she talked to Bibi, like that. That's
an impressive speech.
That's a difficult speech to deliver, and I can't imagine her doing it any better. And I don't like saying that about her. You know what I mean? Like it's so unexpected that I would use those words about her.
Yeah.
So they keep trying to make weird happen.
Yes.
So this is Lincoln Project. which is the perfect example of, oh, the Democrats have a message. Let me fall in line and just basket weave that shit for you. So this is one of the heads of the Lincoln Project acting like it's an impromptu video. He's like, I was supposed to come on and say this, but I'm just going to say weird 1,000 times in a row. It's coincidental that that's everything the Democrats are trying to get out in the zeitgeist.
Hey, folks, I'm just working on some ads this afternoon, and I just learned that Donald Trump has been tweeting about the Lincoln Project on his dollar store, low rent, trash social platform.
How many times do you think he did that intro? Hey, guys. Wait, hold on.
There was a few takes, probably.
It's supposed to be impromptu.
And I just...
I got to pretend that I'm breaking it. Okay,
just made myself laugh.
I'm sorry. I had a whole bit here, but you're just so goddamn weird, Donald. Why are you so weird?
He's trying so hard to make weird happen.
My God. I mean, literally, no one has been more strange and weird than this guy. He is a bizarre, creepy homunculus of a dancing
Why didn't you call him weird before? It's weird that you're saying weird now.
marionette freak show figure.
So in politics, often there are catchphrases like "read my lips, no new taxes" that sort of catch on and become meaningful. And honestly, like that guy,
Is the economy stupid?
Sure, that guy is a political pundit, whatever nomenclature you want to use. And actually, I would advise him not to do that, especially since the Lincoln Project is so closely affiliated with the DNC in a sort of way, although they're former Republicans. But
well, that's not it's not the DNC's fault that they were alienated by their party.
Sure, but
I mean, that was Reagan's whole thing. I was a Democrat until they made me not one.
Right. So I don't actually mind him saying that too much. I would just say, as for the campaign, like I said earlier, just let all that stuff happen and just stay in your lane, I guess is what I would say. Don't try to be a meme god. Don't try to just stay in your lane, say what you believe, say the direction you want to take, point out the faults, the critiques, all of that, but leave the memeing to the memers. That's what I would say.
Right.
And I think if they can do that, they'll be successful. But the problem is oftentimes they try to, oh, let's get in on that game, and then they fuck it up. That's the Pokemon Go to the
and now it's not cool. Say it again.
That's the Pokemon Go to the poll shit where don't do that. Like, let the memers be memers. Don't try to.
Know.
Yeah, it's not your lane. Stay out of it.
It's like, I mean, it's an old phrase by now, but the left can't meme, and they're like, oh my God, we're memeing. Let me get in there.
Right. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Leave that to the professionals.
Yeah. It's like you're at a wedding and there's a dance circle, and then it gets to you, and you.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I gotta find the button. Alan, give me a.
Yeah, sure. Let's find a button.
It's another battle in the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars. They're worried about a culture war. Culture wars. Stop with the culture wars.
So I got 3 clips here. I'm going to play 2 of them. I think we're going to drop the JD Vance has had a rough week and maybe move that. I don't think we even moved that. Are we even having a hidden track on Thursday? We're doing the interview and going into the show, huh?
Oh,
we could have created hidden track. I mean, Natasha's already mad at me.
The interview could be the hidden track.
Well, I know, but then I don't have anything for Natasha to be mad at me about.
I'll let you.
3 shows on Thursday, Alan. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. I have to play this clip because we talked about it, and I want to play this clip.
Okay.
I said it before. When Trump began his campaign in 2016, 2015, immediately the thing that turned me off about him was that he saw the world as zero-sum game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he would always describe challenges that we're facing as winners and losers, as opposed to all of us being involved in it and there being a way to make a win-win. Go ahead. You say something.
So like I said earlier, there's an opportunity for everybody to thrive, as opposed to for me to win, everybody else has to lose. That's just a shitty way to look at the world. And very rarely are you actually faced with a truly binary choice.
Well, and when you force everything into that, then you create more conflict.
Yep.
Right? And then you actually create losers, whereas everyone could have been satisfied before, right?
Right.
And so if you look back, I'm not saying things were so good in 2015 and 2016. I am certainly not saying that. But we transitioned from a world that still tried to see the abundance in it to a world centered around Trump's viewpoint, because he stole the zeitgeist. He stole the national conversation. He wrapped it around his outlook of the world. And
he stole the Republican Party while he was at it.
Yeah, but and media responded to it, and they responded to the prompts that he gave them, right?
Yeah.
So just everything gradually and over time has become this zero-sum game outlook, and we've adopted that as a country. We have,
to a large state, yes.
And I don't think that. Well, that's a temptation within all of us. Like, it's a struggle to maintain an abundance outlook. It is.
Sure.
It is a struggle to remember that, and that's the whole point, though, right? And that's why I resented him, because I was like, look, we're doing our best we can to try to not see a zero-sum world, and you're dragging us backwards into that. And I feel like we've seen nothing but conflict internally because of that. You set everything else aside. Everything else about him that I don't like builds off that. It doesn't exist without that, though. And it's been a long time since I've heard a politician talk about abundance and non-zero sum in a way that sounds relatable. And I don't know if it means this guy's going to be the next vice president. I just want him to be a more prominent voice. I certainly know things aren't going great in Minnesota in some extent, but the governor of Minnesota, Walz, I'm going to play this speech of his.
Why is it so hard to understand? When somebody else gets them right, it's not like a damn pie. Oh, somebody got a bigger piece of pie. I don't get it. Rights aren't that way. There's enough for everybody. There's enough for everybody to be included. Same thing with jobs. Same thing with housing. Same thing with health care. So, you saw it. We are not going to allow them to make the case. Yes, they're a threat, but we're not going to stay in their frame. We're not going to stay where they're at.
I want to pause it there. When I'm not going to get into it, but it was there was a series of events in my life that led me to that abundance mindset. And one of the things that they talked about was in the context of game theory. If you find that you're playing a game with someone who is not playing by the rules, or they're playing the game in a way where they're playing zero sum, where they're avoiding a win-win scenario,
right?
You can see if you can try to get them to come around. And if they won't, you need to stop playing the game with them.
Yep.
And him saying literally those words a second ago is what really landed with me with this was, we're not going to play that game anymore. And this gives me hope. If this voice gains traction, which it must be because it got a lot of likes and views and shares.
Awesome.
We're not going to play their game. We called them out for the weird nonsense that they believe. And we presented a different argument to the American public. One where everybody matters. One where we can achieve. One where we solve problems. And what's so great about this is, we know here in Minnesota, that message works. We are the majority. That's why they shrink the vote. That's why they make it harder to vote. That's why they try and bring fear. And that's why they try and get you to the point where you're pessimistic. And what difference does it make? But these guys are just weird. That's who they are.
Weird.
So it isn't much else. Don't give them the power. Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that. But don't lift these guys up like they're sometimes the heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing.
They don't respect anything but force back too. So you got to stand up.
Yep. The fascists depend on fear. The fascists depend on us going back. But we're not afraid of weird people.
Weird.
We're a little bit creeped out, but we're not afraid.
That's the way. By the way, that's the way you interject the weird into it.
Well, and I'm pretty sure actually he was the first person on the left to actually use that that term, and everybody else picked up on it from
I
him,
thought
I
it was
believe.
being so weird from Kamala answering the question, but
I think it was him more recently where
I will say this because I can already anticipate the DMs. Yeah, it's pie in the sky. It's delusional optimism. I'm sorry. When did that stop being the American outlook?
Yeah.
Stop letting pessimistic people control you and your destiny. We have the opportunity to fall short of what you're striving for, but still achieve greatness by demanding that we all get what we're asking for, what we want. And it's going to take trade-offs, but we can live with the people that we live with and not live in a fantasy world where we can round them up in camps and deport everyone you don't like.
Yeah, I think
the Hamas protesters.
I think the rhetoric around
Oh,
immigration.
come on, you're supposed to laugh at that, Alan. Please.
I was trying to talk. I didn't hear you.
I said, except for the Hamas protesters.
Oh, right. No, I think the rhetoric around immigration is like clear evidence of that whole zero-sum mentality of, look, that's the bad guy, and they're the reason.
It's an inability to focus on the nuance of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Those people are the reason you can't move forward economically. You can't rise through the ranks.
And it's an externalization of your own insecurities and fears, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And all it takes is pointing at, one person that got murdered by an illegal, as opposed to the thousands of people that get murdered by citizens.
Yeah.
All right.
It's 11 o'clock for you.
Shut up, Alan. Sit still. We're fine. I have to land the show after this clip. Chill out. I've been saying for years that we've been at peak culture wars, right?
Yes.
And just because it's been going on for years doesn't mean that.
Oh, this is Buttigieg. Okay, I haven't heard this.
So this is I think I trimmed this down to about 2 minutes. So this is the New York Times interview with Pete Buttigieg.
If we beat him, not just the way we beat him in 2020, not just the way we indirectly beat him in 2022 in the midterms, but beat him a second or so to speak, third time. And we will always have fierce and meaningful disagreements between Democrats and Republicans, but there's a chance of that difference, those debates, being a little less ugly, or to put it another way, a little less weird.
What I'm hearing you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that if Donald Trump is defeated in this election, then perhaps the Republican Party can be freed from his grip?
I think so. Look, I made myself watch the first couple Republican presidential debates, and we still had a lot of Republican candidates this cycle. And there were still some things that I thought were pretty fringe, and just about everything I heard I disagreed with. But apart from some of the darkness of Vivek's populism, most of what you saw on there, you could be forgiven for thinking you were looking at a more normal Republican Party, were it not for the fact that the entire thing was an undercard because Donald Trump wasn't there and he was and is dominating the party.
Look, I think there was a lot of what we debated about during the primaries about which candidates we would prefer in the fantasy land of that actually going anywhere, right?
Yep, absolutely.
We have fooled ourselves many times before into thinking that the fever would break. We thought it would happen before he was elected, when the Access Hollywood tape revealed that he had boasted about sexual assault. We thought it would happen when he was defeated, but he wasn't in 2016.
What?
We thought...
What? Oh, 2016. First time not going to lie, the whole time I was like defeated and he wasn't. Thought they were talking about 2020.
It might happen after January 6th, and it very, very nearly did. So many of the people who are now kissing up to him basically turned their back on him then. It felt we got so close to the fever breaking, but it didn't quite break because Republicans found that their access to power still depended on their standing with Donald Trump.
I think we're good there. This is a long clip. He starts talking about J.D. Vance and his transparent pick-me-ism.
I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It's just every time I hear that guy, I'm just like, God damn, he's pretty fucking good.
He wasn't so gay, right, Alan?
Jesus.
What, isn't that what you were saying?
No, that's not what I was saying. He's fucking good, man.
Yeah, he is.
And he comes across as so genuine, man. It's his tone, it's his cadence, it's all, he's got all of it. The charisma is there, man.
I know.
It's amazing.
Well, I won't play this next clip because if I play this next clip, it'll distract us from an obvious question here, which is, who do you think is going to be? Oh, I already asked you that. That was in the half.
The VP.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I've had a lot of that growler. Okay, I will ask you a question about Kamala.
Okay.
Is Kamala Harris Gen X?
Oh,
We've had this thing going on the show over the years we've been doing it that Gen X got skipped politically when it came to presidents. The age eligibility for Gen X to be president happened around the time of George W. And we were like, there was boomers, and then there was nobody. There's only been boomers. We've been led by boomers. Like, we keep getting older and presidents stay the same age or same birth date. Like, all of our presidents are born in like 1946. And except with the exception of Obama, who was just under the age definition of Gen X, is Kamala Harris Gen X? Have you looked up the age range? Were you doing that?
I was looking. So she was born in 64. So I don't think that.
So do you want to look up the age range for Gen X?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm Gen X technically.
Yes, because you're born slightly before 1980.
Yes, just barely.
But I'm a millennial, Alan, because I'm 82. Makes me feel young still to call myself a millennial. Remember when millennials were the Gen Z? Remember, like in our life, when people were like, these fucking millennials, and I was like, yeah, these.
Oh, so she's barely. So according to this, Gen X is 65 to 80.
Yep.
So
we're
she's
still not going to get a Gen X president.
She's like
still
me.
A baby boomer. We're still going to have a baby. Like, they're doing everything that Gen X, classical slacker, like the typical insult to Gen X was slacker, just doing everything they can to dodge being president. Like, just never going to have a Gen X president. We'll have a millennial president before we have a Gen X president. Millennials are going to be in their 40s. I mean, I'm 42, 41. I'm about to be 42. Like, it's going to be very normal to have a millennial president before any of these Gen Xers are going to stand up and try to do anything in politics.
We're busy playing video games and smoking weed. You know?
Smoking weed, playing video games, inventing their hula hoops and their Fogelberg records. Yeah.
Oh God.
All right. Can I leave you with a bold statement?
Sure.
This whole coconut tree stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They call her Coconut Girl and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm the only one. Tell me if you've heard about this. Am I the only one who's old enough to remember calling a brown chick with white tendencies a coconut was incredibly racist?
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
I that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing.
It's definitely fucking racist, right?
It's definitely racist, yes.
Yeah. But it's cool because it's a Democrat.
Well, when a guy's banging you, y'all let me in his damn house. Oh, how about that? Come in the name of peace.
LMFAO.
So what in the world is this?
Is Kevin McCarthy a moron, and if so, why?
Why would you say something that stupid?
I come without explanations or solutions.
I'm a very sexy lady.
Cat turd.
I will not suffer this harlot.
How great! An anti-American Marxist.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Read the news. China is asshole.
God bless the United States.
Podcasting.
Drive safe, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.